I'm not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, please, people, come on, we're adults here.
You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People, in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know. This channel is harsh reality. Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said, and I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like.
Yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of sad. She was more of the prissy girl, like
that is the best shit fucking
shopping for dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that liked playing with the kids.
Shout out to Cherry for just being easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. Good evening, people. Oh my goodness, am I excited about this one today? Oh man, yeah, I've been doing a little shit talking about getting certain creators on this channel to collab with me but I've been reluctant only for two reasons, mostly because I'm just fucking lazy and I just don't ask people. But you never know if people are censoring themselves for certain reasons, and they might, because I don't want to have another situation where I have someone who's as professional as a body language expert come up here and feel that I'm bad for their brand. But I may have misjudged my special guest, who seems to be a fan of the show, and I am a big fan of her show as well. And I am more than grateful to have her on here to discuss all things Karen Reed, Officer John O'Keefe, and other things that would just happen naturally. So without any further ado, we have attorney Melanie Little, folks.
Closest I'm ever going to get to being invited on Howard Stern.
Stop comparing me to Howard Stern. Fuck that guy.
Listen up.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
I had one of those, like, I swear, the same exact one, like 15, 20 years ago.
This is
I
vintage.
found it.
They don't even make it.
Yeah. I found that at like Spencer's or something, and I walked around with that thing, and I was the most obnoxious. Can you imagine me being more obnoxious than I already am? That was me with that thing.
Well, I heard you do a Mr. T impression, so I thought you would appreciate that. It does 6 different things, it says lots of things. Other things too.
Quit your jibba jabba.
Yeah, quit your jibba jabba.
It's fun stuff.
So that's just for you, Will.
Right on.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Thanks for being here. Oh, the things are just going to get better by the second. I got a feeling of that.
I'm telling you, these people, the crowd, they've been waiting for it. See that? They've been waiting for it.
Apparently they have. I had no idea. But yeah, I'm really glad that you're here. There's been a lot of stuff I wanted to pick your brain about, but I can't think of anything right offhand. But I imagine our conversation is going to happen quite naturally, as normally every conversation I end up having with somebody who comes on here usually does, especially if we are of like minds, more or less.
I think we are. I think we know a lot about this case, and that's a good thing, because when I get invited on a show where the other guests don't know anything about the case, it's a little awkward,
It's a little awkward, yeah. And I was wondering, I was going to ask you, since maybe it's on me to ask you questions. So, how did you first hear about this case?
Well, how did I first hear about it? I think it came to my attention like right when it happened. And I thought, oh, wow, there's Ring video footage of this girl hitting her boyfriend with her car, and he's a cop, and he was found on another cop's lawn. That's like crazy. But the reason that I paid attention to it is because it happened in Norfolk, Massachusetts. And as I told my viewers on my show, when I was in college and, a very, very long time ago in Colorado, I met a boy and we got married, and he was from a small town that he told everyone was Foxborough, but it was really Norfolk, Massachusetts. And ever since we were in college, he was always telling me this story about how the cops in his town were so corrupt. Like, this goes back like 30 years.
Wow.
And like he had an unnatural, like weird, like fear of the police and how they overstepped. And he would tell me these crazy stories. So, we had 2 kids together. We got divorced. We've been divorced for like,
to hear a white
years.
guy that paranoid of cops is not something you hear every day.
Yeah.
And this is something that I see quite consistently when it comes to the people that I've come across in dealing with this case. It's insane. Like, I've never seen so many people afraid of the police like this. It's wild.
It's crazy, right? So then I was like, well, maybe there's some truth to this. Because then I started hearing about, potential corruption and cover up. And I'm like, well, if it could happen anywhere, I've been hearing these stories about Norfolk, Massachusetts for my whole life. So that's when I really started digging into it. And that's what got my attention, was the location. initially. And then I was like, but wait a second, he has no injuries like below his neck. Like I'm a lawyer for 30 years. I've handled like thousands of car accident cases, pedestrian cases. Never once have I had a case where a pedestrian was hit by a car and had no injuries below the waist. it just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's
No.
impossible.
So would you say that it's safe to say that that's the first thing that you noticed that made you suspicious of, okay, I need to look into this very deeply with a very, very open mind that I've never even had before? Because this is no case. I mean, for me, I feel like we share this same sentiment. I've covered a lot of cases. I've covered a few trials, never seen anything like this, not even close to anything like this.
Never. It's crazy. I mean, that's what it was for me from the beginning. And that's why I started going through all the court documents and all the police reports and all the investigative reports, anything that I could find, because I'm document based. I like to stick with facts. And although the autopsy report was not out there were a couple of photographs that were out there and I just couldn't find anything. So I kept waiting and I thought, all right, well, maybe if he's got, a torn meniscus or, a fractured femur or a hip issue, like there something. I kept waiting for it.
Internal,
and never came.
Right. Maybe the guy doesn't bruise easy, but maybe something happened to his spleen or
no, bruising it absolutely would happen. There's just no way it wouldn't.
I agree. I'm just saying, not being a medical expert, I'm the guy that's like, I don't know, maybe that does happen. And it doesn't seem like it would, but maybe it does. I know that I went into this with a totally open mind in the sense that, like, okay, I'm hearing there's a conspiracy and I'm hearing that a bunch of cops covered this up and I'm just not buying it, So I'm looking for every possible way to eliminate this nonsense, what sounds like nonsense. And it just became more and more less nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a conspiracy. The conspiracy is that Karen hit John with her car. That's the conspiracy. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So
we're
it's not
being gaslighted.
You're making up a conspiracy saying that they covered it up. It's like, no, he wasn't hit by a car. Whatever else happened, but he just wasn't hit by a car. And it's like, you don't have to be a medical professional. It's like, use your common sense, Even I went and listened to her jury instructions again today because I just am spun by the fact that anybody could have even thought that he was hit by a car. And her jury instructions, every time she starts to read them, my eyes glaze over. And I'm just thinking, like, their eyes probably glazed over too. And she says in her jury instructions, which I say all the time, is when you come in to serve on a jury, you don't leave your common sense at the door. Use your common sense. It's
and there's
common
a process,
sense.
right? And
That's
there's a
all it
process
is.
to select them.
Yeah.
So I mean, they had to have gone through this process, this very meticulous process that, I mean, maybe Lally didn't do it so meticulously. He obviously didn't present his case meticulously or didn't even, put his case together meticulously. But we know that Karen Reed's defense did. So at least on their end, they're going to vet the jurors one by one as carefully as they possibly can. So I'm dumbfounded that anyone, because I went on a rant. I think I was live yesterday, and Kelly Reed, like
I think you were, because I was watching.
Kelly Reed, and I'm sorry if I'm not reading out all of the, but you got to read Kelly Reed's super chat. Hi, Will and Melanie. I'm so excited for the show. What a phenomenal duo. Free Karen Reed. Yes, awesome. Thank you for that, Kelly. And much love to you and your entire family.
You went to court too, weren't they great? Such a nice family. God,
such nicest people ever.
Really
nicest people ever. And we're going to talk all about that too. Our experience in Canton and everything like that. Now that I think about it, see, look at you giving me stuff to talk about.
I'm here for you. I can't believe you're so cute. You were like nervous to invite me on your show. Because I just have to say that you have been because I only started doing this a year ago. This is like my 1-year anniversary of posting my own content on YouTube. So yay. But when I first started covering this case, I was getting a lot of heat. And like you had the nicest things to say about me. And people would say, like, you have to check out this guy, the Glare. He always says such kind things about you. And so, like, why wouldn't I ever come on your show? You've always been nothing but kind to me. And you're a kind person.
You'd be
So it's not
surprised, man,
hard.
that people are just like, oh, like again, I've explained this before. I'm what's commonly known as a bad look. For
How about an acquired taste? An acquired
well,
taste, I think, is more complimentary.
I would think so.
Right?
I prefer to think of myself that way. But what I mean
What I say to
is,
people.
right. See, and in all fairness, in comparison to how I run my chat, when I was first in your chat, I got mad soup Nazi vibes, just in comparison to to how I do things. So it's just like,
and isn't it funny how we share 2 mods, and that's the reason that I'm here, because Team Brittany and Scott, like, got me on here. So that's funny because we share 2 mods, and they have different styles when they're on my channel and different styles when they're on your channel, but they're the best.
Creators have different rules, and that's perfectly cool. I had to explain that. People are like, oh man, this chat is pretty relaxing. I just came from Melanie Little's chat, and you can't cuss, you can't do anything. And I'm just like, well, that's almost every YouTube channel. It's not that she's too strict. It's that I'm way too laid back. That's the difference. Is I just don't run my shit the way that most YouTubers do. And that's all that is.
I find it's more, I find it more to your style than mine. I think a lot more people curse on the air than you think. I think most creators do. I think it's very unusual that I don't. And it only happened that way because so many people have told me, like, I like to listen to you without my headphones and my kids are in the room. And my 95-year-old mother loves to watch true crime, but she doesn't like the language. And I'm like, all right, I'll just keep it like that.
Well, right. I don't understand. Yeah, I just
people what they want.
It's a lazy thing for me, because I YouTube will flag you for saying words like rape and domestic violence, and I'm like, these are things that happen in the world. I already have a setting on my channel to where it's not for kids,
right?
So what's the problem? I'm not gonna censor myself and baby grown-ups who,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, what purpose does it serve to go, well, he R'd her, as far as I'm concerned. I understand and I'm not faulting any other creators who do it because, of course, it affects the revenue. It absolutely does. I'm just stupid when it comes to making money, and I'm just like, I don't care.
I think grape is the new R word. Grape. He graped her. See, here's the thing.
I can't talk to 1,000 grown-ups and do that. I just can't do it.
I know. I'll say forcible. How about forcible intercourse? I mean, there's a way to get around the AI program, but here's the problem. It's like they have these dopey AI programs that can't discern whether or not you're promoting a thing or just talking about a thing that's happened in a case. You know what I mean? So like you'll say murder and they think you're promoting it. Right? That's why AI sucks. And that's why YouTube has some stupid, subjective standards.
I think they're starting to improve that to some degree because unless their AI just got amazing and like to the point of being scary and it's like really intelligent, because I ended up chatting with somebody asking, because at one point my revenue was not coming through. Like my videos were posted, and then it was showing no generating of revenue at all. And I was like, is there a new policy? Because I was like, maybe they're finally just cracking down and just being like, all right, we're not, if you get a copyright strike, then we're taking all your super chats and everything. And I was like, that's crazy, because that's what it seemed like. So I chatted with someone. They were like, nope. That's how they answered me. Nope. Is when I asked if there was a new policy. They were like, nope. And
really?
Yeah. So I was like, am I talking to a real person? That's amazing. That never happens. And they were like, yeah, there's a few people that have complained about it, and we're working on it. It's just there's a maintenance issue, it's a glitch, and it'll be
Oh,
back
so you worked it out.
yeah.
Well, good.
But I was mostly just satisfied with the fact that I seemed to have spoken to a real person who was helpful.
Yeah.
And I was like, and and of course I was Mr. Professional, and I was like, I'm very grateful and happy with our partnership. Thank you for reaching out, blah, 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 blah.
Now pay me.
Right. Where in my mind, I'm going, fuck yeah, dude, it's a person.
Just pay me.
Yeah.
And like that's why I tell people, like, like Venmo is really good, Cash App is really good, because YouTube takes 30% of super chats, and a lot of people don't know that. So get your QR code up there, because more money for the man.
See, the thing is, as far as that goes, my take on that is, like I played in bands most of my adult life.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and the thing is you got to pay the house,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how I look at it. I mean, I'm up here just running my mouth, and half the time I have no idea what I'm going to even talk about.
What do you play?
Guitar and bass.
Well, let's talk about music. What kind of music were you in a cover band, or did you write music?
Oh man, yeah, you and I are not going to get along when it comes to music.
I like all kinds of music.
Well, yeah, there are some bands that I've heard you mention that I'm like, yeah, right on. But dude, I loathe the Grateful Dead.
Well, it's not your taste, It's kind of like Fish. I don't like Fish. Like, I never crossed over the Fish line, but I love, what else? Like Guns N' Roses. I would go see Guns N' Roses in a second. So I mean, I don't know like how hardcore heavy metal you're talking over there.
I mean, dude, I have the weirdest taste in music. The weirdest in the world. I will go to the gym. I'll eat a gummy. I'll go to the gym, and then that's totally my therapy. And I will
wait. There's gummies that don't make you lazy. Hold on, I gotta find out more about this. There's gummies that make you motivated to want to go to the gym.
Well, when you struggle with the mental health issues that I do, I guess it depends on your chemistry, because I'm really ADHD. I struggle with anxiety, depression. So once if I get high, I get really sometimes I get really lazy. Just depends on if I'm already in a lazy mood. But if I'm in a really fun mood, like I'll enjoy a movie that much more, or I'll enjoy a workout that much more. I'll enjoy whatever I'm doing that much more. And then I'll go down, I'll find some random song that I haven't heard in a million years and be like, oh man, yeah, that's right. And then my Apple Music will just take me down a rabbit hole of stuff that I've never even heard before. And now I find myself listening to like old, because I actually work out to relax, which is some people might find that to be weird. But it relaxes me, it centers me. And so I don't know why, but I listen to a lot of French contemporary. I couldn't tell you.
French contemporary.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't even know what that is.
I couldn't tell you what they're saying. I couldn't tell you but it sounds so nice. It just does.
Well, here's an interesting segue here. Hiya Truth Art says, I just seen Primus. Do you like Primus?
Yeah,
because
I saw Primus at Riot Fest. I think it was 2014.
Okay. Well, the drummer for Primus, Jay Lane, is now the drummer for Dead and Company. So there you go. There's a weird crossover, huh? Jay Lane plays with that's the Grateful Dead reincarnation with John Mayer.
Oh wow.
I just went to see them at the Sphere. So they took Primus's drummer, Jay Lane, who played in a band with Bob Weir for a long time. And now he's their drummer. So there you go.
That makes sense. That actually doesn't really surprise me all that much, because and when I saw Primus, that drummer was sick, and the drummer that filled in for them was Danny Carey, the drummer from Tool, who's arguably the best drummer in the world. But Tool and Primus don't sound anything alike. But when you think about Primus's music, you're like, yeah, I mean, there's really on the fly somebody to fill in. There's nobody better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, So I got really lucky in that sense. But yeah, jam bands, I'm really not. Yeah, they kind of drive me crazy if I'm being honest.
You can be as honest as you want. Somebody said Primus
But
sucks.
Primus is great. But I can understand somebody feeling that way too, because they, a lot of people are just more comfortable hearing their verse, chorus, verse, songs that they're used to that get radio play, and right on, enjoy. I
Mhm.
like some of that too. I like a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Um,
French
but
contemporary was not on someone's bingo card. I just saw that fly by the chat.
yeah,
It's
like
awesome.
I think I played that Edith Piaf, I think is how you say her name.
Yeah, sure.
That
La Vie
song,
en Rose. Yeah, sure. La Vie
the
en
song
Rose.
that they played in Inception, I translates to No Regrets, I think, in English, but really nice song. And then I once that song played, it just took me down to this place, and I'm just like, I love all this music. It's just
That's very
it's
cool.
really relaxing.
See,
Yeah,
everyone's learning more about you tonight. They're telling us to get to the point, but isn't this the point?
there is no point, guys.
Leonard Cohen. I don't know. Leonard Cohen for me is like music to commit suicide by. I don't know. My parents played that growing up all the time, Leonard Cohen, and I just found it to be so depressing.
I could see that. Like, there's stuff that my mom listened to that I could not get into, but there's other stuff that my mom turned me on to. Like, I'm in love with Neil Diamond. I always will be. That's my mom.
Mother and Neil Diamond. My mother used to sleep out for Neil Diamond tickets. She will not go see Neil Diamond's the Broadway show because it's not really him, and he's in not great health now. So, tell you what, when he dies, my mother's gonna be heartbroken. But
Yeah, that's already broke my heart just now, because like
Mhm.
I never got to see him live, and
yeah,
he like and I really honestly didn't really care to all that much, other than because whenever I hear him live, when I watch performances like on YouTube or whatever, he's more about interacting with the crowd, than performing
Mhm.
the songs, and he doesn't really sing the lines. He'll yell them out so that
yeah.
the crowd will get into it.
Sweet
Um,
Caroline.
yeah, Sweet Caroline. Yeah.
I think
And
I know every word to every Neil Diamond song, so maybe we should do like a Neil Diamond trivia night one night and see who wins.
You could, but I'll lose again. I don't. I stopped paying attention to like song titles, album titles. I used to be such a snob about that stuff, and then I got to this point in my life where I'm just like, I don't even care. Somebody be like, "Do you like this song? Which album do you like?" But that
Hmm.
one that has that one track, I haven't honestly cared about that since CDs.
Right.
Since you could burn CDs, and then
Right.
like I would just let my friends burn me a copy of the newest album that we were awaiting, and track 3, yeah, that's a good one. That's I stopped paying attention to album titles and song titles, and I just stopped giving a shit
Cassette tapes
anymore.
were the thing. The mixtape with a real
Yeah,
cassette tape.
agreed.
I mean, if you had a boyfriend that made you a mixtape, that was like love. That was like
Yeah,
the full commitment. And then
yeah.
sometimes you'd have to wait for the song to come on the radio to actually get it on your cassette tape.
Or you
I
get the guy like me who didn't have girlfriends who would make mixtapes, and then girls would be like, "This dork just made me this fucking mixtape."
Oh,
But
funny. All right, back to Karen Reed. Anyway, what do you want to talk about? What's going to happen tomorrow? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too. What do you think? What is your predictions for tomorrow? So we know we know that Yannetti and Weinberg are going to argue these motions to dismiss. The third motion to dismiss.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to argue this.
Yeah.
What do you think Bev's going to do?
Oh my God. Like I was just in Vegas and I don't even gamble. And I would never put money on Bev's decisions ever. So it's like, I would tell my clients, like my crystal ball is broken. But in this case, it's really like flip a coin. Like you really, based on her prior decisions, there is no way to even gauge how she may rule. First of all, I don't think she's going to rule from the bench because she never does. The only time we've seen her rule from the bench was maybe, and her objections weren't even ruled from the bench. She'd be like, "Do you want to object, Mr. Lally?" Like she was like mommy helping him from the bench. The only one she really ruled on the bench from was the motion to recuse. I don't know if you were handling like the pretrial motions. And she said she absolutely would not recuse herself, even when they put up a giant poster board of a Venmo transaction from Julie Nagel to Ryan Nagel that said for Frank and Beverly on it. She's like, no, I will not
Yeah.
recuse myself. So the weirdest thing to me, so this is a post-trial, what we would call a post-trial motion to dismiss based on stuff that they found out, after the verdict that wasn't a verdict. And we're up to like how many jurors now? Like 5 plus juror Doe.
Yeah.
So
I
we
think
don't
it's
know
like
if that's
5.
a 6th or if that's one of the 5, right?
Well,
think.
Turtle Boy just released an article yesterday where he was saying, and at this point, Turtle Boy, I feel like I could count on his reporting in his
Mhm.
investigation. So he put out that Fanning, Detective John Fanning, Lieutenant John Fanning,
I can't even
who
believe it.
is Proctor's supervisor, somehow had the power to handpick jurors that could be removed. Had all this power over jurors.
Well, I
And
think
he
the
removed juror number 3. He eliminated juror number 3
I don't know
on
if
the very
he
last day.
eliminated her or if he said that he heard something from somebody that she was in a bar talking about the case. And she's, I think, juror 3 you're talking about, right? She's the one
Yeah.
who was dismissed the day of closings, right? Before
Yeah.
deliberations, before closings. And she was not happy about it based on the reporters that were in the room that reported on that. Now, the day that I was in court, Mark Betterow and I were in court June 14th. And that was the day that the first female juror was dismissed. And they called her in, and I don't know, you were probably live streaming it at home, and Court TV, I think, caught her on camera. And then Auntie Bev said, that's it, no more cameras for the rest of the day. And she shut off the cameras because he caught the juror on camera, and that juror wound up being dismissed. Now, after that juror came in to talk to the judge, and they were having conversations that we couldn't hear, they called 3 other female jurors in to be questioned by the judge that day. And then after all of those conversations, they called the first woman back in, and then she was dismissed. And nobody knows why. We have no idea why. But coincidentally, those same 3 jurors, those other 3 women, were the ones that wound up being the alternates and the one who was dismissed the day of closings. That Aiden report, I call him Aiden because that's his God's given name. I can't say Turtle, but I just can't.
I call him Aiden sometimes too.
So he's saying that juror number 3 is the one that Fanning overheard somebody, or there's some video of her in a bar somewhere talking about the case, but
Where's
it
the
hasn't
video?
really been like verified. Like it's like hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay. And maybe that's the reason why she was dismissed, but she was clearly pro Karen based on the reporters also in the room saying she would not, and, looking at Proctor like he was a dick, because he is, and, like stuff like she got it,
Right. Because and I'm pretty sure she is, because I was in the courtroom on the days where Buchanan testified, and then the next day when he was cross-examined.
What a great day to be there.
Yeah. I'm not even trying to lie, because that day, and my viewers know this story front to back already because I told it so many times, but those were the days where the jury first saw John O'Keefe's vehicle's tire move when Karen backed into it. Changed everything, because right there, that's when they were like, holy crap, that could explain the taillight. This is a big deal. So, that juror, who I think is the same one that Aiden was discussing and pointing out, just reacted more visually than anybody. Like, because I made it a point, I'm sure you probably did too, because the only thing that we can't see when we're streaming is the jury.
Yes, of course,
So,
right.
So when I'm in that courtroom, everything that happens, I'm looking over at the jury. Like, how's the jury going to react to this? And this person was very, very visibly reacting to a lot of the things. And that in particular, and then later on, that's when the inverted video became known, that the video was inverted.
You were
And
there that day too. Wow, you were there. You had like the ticket. That was the money ticket that you had.
I got
Those were
really
two really
lucky.
great days.
Yeah, I got really lucky because the first day I was sitting next to Karen's mom. She is just the coolest, most positive
So
lady in the world.
parents are so nice. So like really
Yeah,
amazing, kind people. Like it's
incredible.
hard to describe, but really like I would never say that if it wasn't true.
So nice that like
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't like me, I couldn't tell you. I don't know because they were so nice to me. But we the first day I sat next to her mom, and there were so many times when this guy was because there was no better day to be sitting right behind Karen Reed and right next to her parents because Buchanan was testifying as to when they showed up to their house to question Karen Reed.
Right.
And they tried saying that Proctor didn't say anything, that Buchanan was asking all the questions, where um, Karen's mom looked over, turns over to me, goes, he's lying, you know? And I'm sitting there like, what? You know, and every time he would say something, Karen would look back at her mom like, you know what I mean? Like, can you
So
believe that he's sitting here
smarmy.
on right? Totally,
Ugh.
because she couldn't believe the lies coming out of this guy's face. And so he talks about how she was laying on the couch and or whatever, and they were like, no, she was sitting there and she was on her computer, and but they were making it out to be like she was just laying on the couch being this lazy. There was very meticulous in the picture they were trying to paint Karen Reed out to be.
Oh, you think?
Very,
Yeah.
yeah, it was wild because at this point, I mean, who am I going to believe? And
Mhm.
why would they accuse them of lying about something that small unless
Right.
it was true,
Mhm.
so seeing that, you know, and seeing Karen Reed react to her parents because they know they were there, you
Mhm.
know. And then the next day, I was in there with Brian LTL, and so we were sitting next to each other. And then when that day was over, as soon as the jury saw that the video was inverted, Yannetti was so excited, like and it's not because he liked us or anything like that. It's just because we happened to be in his path as he was walking towards the door of the courtroom, and he was just so excited when it happened because he was like, He's like, this is great. The jury now knows. This is what he told me and Brian, word
Mhm.
for word. He goes, the jury now knows that the prosecution is trying to deceive them and not us. This is huge.
Yeah.
He was stoked about it.
It was
Um,
insane. That was just insane. Like people in the chat, and that's sometimes, it's like going to a hockey game. Like sometimes it's better to watch it on TV. Sometimes it's more fun to be there, right?
right.
Um, Craig, I had Craig on my show, Craig Bates, the man of the tiny desk, who was their AV guy. And I said to him, because I was sitting right behind him during the trial. And I said, was it like a surprise? Did you guys know that this was coming, that it was going to be inverted? And he's like, no, it was like a total surprise. And I said, well, do
Yeah.
you think it was intentional? And he said, well, none of the other cameras in the Sally Port recorded invertedly, right?
I
The outdoor
mean,
cameras, there was another camera from the other angle. So like, why is this one inverted? I mean, it was, again, for those of us with common sense, I'm looking at it on TV like, whoa, why is this guy getting out of the passenger side of the car?
right.
And
I
then
thought that
and then
too.
people in the chat are like, look at the lettering on the antique car. It's backwards. And I'm thinking, well, sometimes they have backwards lettering so that if you're looking at it in your rear view, you see it. But the 4 on the door was backwards, and people in the chat were catching on. Like they got it
Yeah.
right away. And
Tom,
I was like, I couldn't wrap
Tom's
my head around it. I'm like, what?
Tom CPU was sitting right behind me, and he was like, dude, he's like, look at the video. He's like, you notice when they pull the car into the Sally Port, there's already snow on the ground that's in the shape of the car.
Right.
So he's like, that car was already in there before this video that we're watching. So they just put on this show for the sake of this video. And I'm like, wow, I would have never caught that. But
Right.
Tom caught that. He was like, there's snow already there. Like, what are they trying to pull here? You know?
Yeah.
This is insane. But we're the conspiracy theorists. We're
Right.
nuts because we're catching
totally
them
nuts.
doing sloppy things. Like, explain that. Explain
Well,
how
because
a
we're
heated
grifters.
Sallyport, right?
We're
Explain how
grifters.
a heated Sallyport is going to have snow on the floor indoors and it's not melted.
Right.
I mean,
and he just had given a whole speech about the reason why we went all the way back to the Canton PD Sallyport was because it's heated. That's why we went to that one, because it's heated. Because all the other ones along the way that happened to be, manned by MSP, we went back to Canton, even though they were conflicted out, but not for everything, just for, interviews. And then we took it back there specifically because it was heated. That's why we went there. Okay. But then they showed us a video where there's snow on the floor of the garage. So is it heated or is it not heated? Like, it made no sense. If I was in the jury, I'd be insulted. I'd be like, why are you trying to gaslight me into thinking this is the passenger side of the car? So he's getting out of that side. So we think it's the passenger side. So nobody's around that taillight. And by the way, I was looking at that taillight and I'm like, oh, there's some white shining out. It must be broken. Maybe it is broken. Maybe there was a giant piece missing.
That's what I'm saying.
It got to the car.
It got to a point where that particular juror, was just shaking her head the whole time like this whenever somebody was on the stand talking.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was in that the first day that I was in there, I was in that courtroom 5 minutes, and I had leaned over to Karen's mom and I was just like, there's no way that jury right there is going to convict Karen unanimously guilty. It's just no way that's ever going to happen.
And then all of a sudden, mysteriously, before closing arguments, that exact juror is dismissed for reasons unknown.
Right. Fascinating. And somehow Fanning had some sort of say over all
jury.
this.
Apparently he was in charge of the. How is a guy who's on the witness list in charge of the jury? Has that been actually confirmed? Like, he's on the he's on the witness list, and he's also in charge of the jury now. It's like the fox guarding the hen house. Is that what we're doing over here in Dedham?
According to Turtle Boy's reporting, yes. It's insane. I've never heard of anything like that.
And there was some other wacky stuff that came out about him. Some lawsuit, like somebody has like real court documents about some really crazy stuff that involved him allegedly.
Yeah. Oh,
did you hear about that?
No,
about
I didn't.
Some trip to somewhere, and I don't think he was. Also, he was in charge of I think he was involved in the Birchmore.
He was involved in the Birchmore investigation. He was.
Yeah.
I found some stuff here on because you got it. Olivia by now, I would imagine.
Yeah.
She's just amazing on Twitter. And she had just pointed this out. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because this kind of spills over to the Birchmore thing.
There's Phoebe Burr with the Grateful Dead quotes.
Okay, I wouldn't have caught that.
That's called Deal. That's Deal.
Okay,
that's a Deal quote. Thanks, Phoebe.
Thank you, Phoebe, so much. I appreciate it. So hold on here. Let me share this with you. This is Olivia's post. A lot of times I'll just repost something because I want to be able to get to it quickly if I'm going to talk about it. And Olivia posted this that says, fun fact, did you know that attorney David Bay, representing disgraced former Stoughton police officer William Farwell for his involvement with Sandra Birchmore, is an attorney and shareholder at the law firm founded by Michael Morrissey?
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've watched that Sandra Birchmore hearing that happened on Tuesday.
Not yet.
Okay. So basically this Bay guy, he represents William Farwell, right? And his whole thing was, oh, I didn't mean to do that. His whole thing was that I'm going to continue reading that in a second, but his whole thing was that that he doesn't want Sandra Birchmore's name being mentioned because he feels that they're going to use her name to garner sympathy. So he's trying to block her name from being used, which in theory, of course, is extremely infuriating because we know what happened to her.
Right. But this isn't some other hearing. It's a hearing that has nothing to do with the Birchmore civil case, right?
Exactly. This has to do with his job.
Right.
And his status at his job. So I can understand. I didn't like saying it, but in that regard, he's just doing what a lawyer is supposed to do. You know what I mean? As
Right.
shit baggy as it is,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's just
it's
trying
his job.
to keep. I think he's trying to keep his credentials or something, right? His cop credentials. Is that what this is about? I mean, I looked at it briefly, so I don't want to misspeak, but I think it has something to do with him keeping his. It's not a cop license, but didn't one of the Farwell has a twin, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is allegedly the
Matthew.
father of the baby of Sandra Birchmore, whose fetal tissue was never sampled,
Matthew.
right? Or who was never
Right.
tested, because that's the way they do things there. And I think didn't one of them become a lawyer?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was digging into that, but
I'm still very shaky. I'm in the very conceptual phases still of understanding fully the Sandra Birchmore case.
yeah, it's pretty
I'm just
horrifying.
I'm just very intrigued by it simply because the circumstances in which that I've been made aware of, it doesn't look like a suicide to me. And
No.
the circumstances as well. There's a lot of very familiar names that you hear in that case, that you hear in the John O'Keefe Karen Reed investigation. So there's somebody who she goes by the name of Mizzy, and she has been relentless in keeping this case out there in the open. And I will have her on soon. That's still in its very conceptual phases as well, where she'll join me here, and we'll talk more about that, because I plan on taking a deep dive into Sandra Birchmore and helping spread more awareness on that. Because the idea here is not just to get justice for John O'Keefe, and not just to make sure Karen Reed does not go down for something she didn't do, but also to make sure to expose the corruption in which is causing these things to happen.
And it it starts with the root. They got to shake that tree from the top down. They got to get rid of it. I mean, it runs so deep, right? The family ties of Norfolk County are pretty twisted. The roots of the family tree are pretty twisted, and everyone's related. It's so incestuous, and there's so much nepotism. It's like, okay, they gotta, Marcy has run unopposed for I don't even know how many terms, but it's just everybody gets everybody else a job. Everybody knows everybody, and somebody knows everybody's secrets, and I think that has a lot to do with this case and where we're at. And because what other reason could there possibly be for continuing to prosecute a case that clearly did not involve a car accident? I mean, really, that is the bottom line. It is as simple as that. And I said, if the verdict slip would have said, question number 1, do you find that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her car? Yes or no? If the answer is no, stop. You're done. It didn't have to be so complicated and all this mishigas and all this, like, if you find that she started a chain of events that led to his eventual death, and you found that there was, actual just all this ridiculousness. It's very simple. Do you think that John O'Keefe was hit by Karen Reed's car or not? And if you don't think that he was hit by a car, that's the end of the story. Period. Full stop, as David Yannetti would say.
Or Alan Jackson.
Is that who said that? Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
Was it Alan Jackson?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I only know that because of the song that I play over and over and over again.
I don't want to misquote. AJ Smooth as Butter gets credit for that. Period.
No, I misquote people all the time. I get names wrong all the time. Also one of the things that really bugs me is as you said, there's a whole lot. I just can't imagine a judge in any other case that I've ever followed letting this go as far as it did, as far as it has so far. I think of David Wolf out of Tennessee, who resided over the Joe Clyde Daniels case. Uh, yeah, it's a rough case.
Mm.
I don't know if I can handle missing kids cases or anything like that
Mhm.
anymore. I think I'm done with that. And it's become so ugly. That's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah,
on
yeah,
on YouTube, it is a
really bad.
cesspool, and I don't want anything to do with any creators who are covering specifically like the Sebastian Rogers case. That case is disgusting now.
I've
Like
heard
that
that it's a
poor
mess.
kid is
Mhm.
lost. That poor kid is lost in all of this, just like Summer Wells. And
I mean, the Madeline Soto case, I can't touch that with a 10-foot pole. That whole
right,
Madeline Soto thing just breaks my heart. I have
it's too
5
toxic.
kids, and, like, for 30 years, I represented victims of all kinds of horrible things. I sued the Catholic Church for, like, 50 or 60 men and women that were abused by priests, and, like, I've heard all the ugly and all the horror stories and all the DV and all the things that we can't say, right? Domestic violence, child sex abuse. Um, just child abuse, horrible stories, and it breaks my heart. And that Madeline Soto case,
Yeah,
people are so horrified by it, but they don't realize that this shit happens every day. It happens every day, and I
all the
see
time.
creators talking about it, like, "Can you believe this?" And the mother must have known, and this and that. I'm like, this happens every single day in America and worldwide, and people don't talk about it enough. But I worked with those kind of cases so much that my kids were raised hearing about things, like, just you know, like what to be careful about, and like you have to make your kids aware. Like it's scary, but that's the
You
world we live in,
you
and it's sick.
agreed 100%. I can't do it anymore.
Mhm.
Like
I know.
it's so toxic, and it's always, it's not about finding the kid and finding the missing kid. It's who can we point fingers at?
Right.
And 9 out of 10 times it's a parent, and it's with no evidence. And I all I could think of is, if I'm wrong about this parent,
Right.
what they're going through is something that I can't even begin to imagine. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
Mhm.
I literally would not wish that on my worst enemy.
No.
And I mean, anybody who has kids of their own is going to feel that way.
Mhm.
And you just want to point fingers at these people and add on top of the indescribable misery that they're going through, and the torment that they're going through every moment of the day, not knowing where their child is. You're going to accuse them and
Mhm.
slander them all over the internet and
Yep.
make them out to be child murderers, when
Yep.
you don't even have any evidence that
Mhm.
and there's any foul play, and you don't even know what happened to this child. There's not
Nope.
even evidence of a crime yet. So
Hate
this is
sells, Will. Hate sells.
I
And
can't
that's
do it.
why people are so like on Twitter. And that's why they get paid for negative engagement. It doesn't matter. You look at somebody like Jennifer Coffendorfer, whose name I don't even allow to be uttered on my channel. But since we're on your channel, we're going to talk about her
Oh,
because she
please.
trashed me all
Yeah.
over Court TV. So I have a personal feeling about her. But she leaves all these nasty because she posts the most ridiculous things. And then she leaves all these nasty comments up. And my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, that you get paid by Twitter for engagement. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So why would you leave all these hateful things up about yourself? I don't get it, but she does. Because I guess
Well,
it doesn't matter. If you get engagement, you get paid.
she's a moron, and
Hate
let's just
sells.
face the facts. Let's just face the facts. When you were on panel with her on Court TV,
Mhm.
you schooled her.
I
You
did. I
absolutely
did. I
schooled
really
her.
did. I know.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was a thing of beauty. And that's where her feelings lie. She's not interested in the truth, and she's not interested in adding insight that's going to be helpful to the public, and how they look at this investigation, and and
Mhm.
and how they approach it. She's not interested in any of that. She's interested in peddling bullshit. Uh and and it's clear, and you handled that masterfully by just sticking to the facts and going no, and smiling
Mhm.
and going no,
Wasn't hit
and
by a car.
she couldn't
Where's the
handle it.
dog? And then she
Yeah.
started, this was weird too, because it was in January when I was on there twice with her. And she started bringing up stuff about like She said back then, oh, Chloe's in Vermont. Like she knew all this stuff that never came out until trial. She said that on that show. I went back and watched it. It was crazy. The stuff that she knew that nobody else knew.
Right.
Like they
I
had a
mean,
flood in their basement. That's why they tore up their basement floor, because they had a flood. And like she had all this information.
yeah,
Nobody knew. It was weird.
right. I mean, her and the Alberts know what happened to Chloe. Nobody else knew what happened to Chloe, but the only other people that ever said anything in regards to what happened to Chloe before the trial, the only person who said anything publicly about what happened to Chloe was Jennifer Coffenhofer, the only person. And then it comes out in trial where I think it was
Nicole. It was Nicole
Albert,
said it on the
Nicole
stand.
Albert and Brian Albert both sat there and said, "Oh well," and used the exact same keyword, by the way, rehomed.
Yep.
Like you're going to tell me, and Nicole Albert made it a point to go, no, we didn't get rid of the dog, we rehomed the dog. They wanted to really push that word.
Well, she said we rehomed it.
Right, it.
Have you ever called your dog it?
No.
I know you love your dog.
I
Have you ever called your dog it?
Can't. Couldn't.
Who does that? It was almost like they were like distancing themselves from it. Was so weird. And then right away I'm thinking, and then she said, well, no, we told the prosecution where the dog was, just in case the dog was ever needed for anything. I'm like screaming in the background, Brady violation. Like, the Commonwealth said they had no idea where this dog was. They were fighting to get those Canton Town animal control records for the prior bites. I mean, we know so much more about this case than really even came out at trial.
Well, right. But the interesting thing about that is it's all verifiable in documents. You could just verify it in documents.
Right.
And the media won't touch 80% of it, which I'm just like, it's right there. Like,
yeah.
And you're sitting here and you're minimizing what Aiden Turtle Boy does, going, the blogger this, the blogger that, and really just being very dismissive about him in the media. And really what it boils down to is like, if you just did 50% of what he does, which is just look at the facts, maybe, you don't have the right to actually trash talk him or be so dismissive of him. At least he's doing what a journalist should be doing when it comes to this case, which is sharing facts of the case.
He's doing what the police should have done. He's investigating the case the way the case should have been investigated by law enforcement, because nobody did it.
Agreed.
And he, caught on to this like a dog with a bone, and he's like, I'm not going to let this go. Like this, we can't let this go.
Right.
And that's what he did. I mean,
there's
insane.
Right.
What's going on there?
They call him, all these names, and they hate him so much, but it's like, and it's because of his methods, but I can't imagine taking on the circumstances that have come about in this case and any less than aggressive. I mean, how else are you supposed to approach it? You're trying to get people who have sworn to secrecy and have this seemingly this pact of secrecy. What else are you supposed to do except get in their face and hope that you make them mad enough to where they go, you know what? Fuck you. I'm an Albert, and I'm saying that this is what, you know what I mean? What else?
Well, like the sister who, has been like attacking.
Jill Daniels?
Yeah. I mean, like if anybody's going to crack, that's who's going to crack. But like, I don't think that I don't think if something happened, let's say, I don't think a lot of people know about it. I don't think it's like a huge thing. I don't think that you need all of these people. You need a couple of people who owe a couple of people favors, and that's it. Look the other way, right? It doesn't have to be like this whole conspiracy of everybody covering something up. There could be a couple of people who know about it, and a couple of people who are just like, look the other way. Look over there while I do this over here.
Agreed. 100%. 100%. And
by the way, you owe me a favor because I got your kid a job. And by the way, you owe me a favor because, I didn't, I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah, this is insane. This is like something out of a Grisham novel. It's insane.
It's going to be the best miniseries ever. It's going to have to run a couple of seasons because this is still going. We are still here. It's like Groundhog Day.
Right.
It's like
Right.
Groundhog
There's
Day.
it's still up in the air whether or not there will be a second trial. With what? Like, what
Well,
do you
because all of their witnesses are under internal affairs investigation. So now, if you have Tully out, you have Proctor out, you have Buchanan out. Who's going to be the lead investigator now?
I don't understand what
I
they're
mean, they demoted Proctor from lead investigator to customer service rep during like the first day of the trial. Like, what do you mean? He's not the lead investigator. He picks up the phone when you call. He's the guy. He's like, I mean, they're gonna have no witnesses left. The
No.
case is only going to get worse for them. So this whole jury issue, what I thought was so interesting, because we should circle back to that because we're kind of talking about that, right? So they have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jurors, right, who are saying we acquitted on counts 1 and 3. We were hung on count 2, lesser included, which was not even the manslaughter. It was like the lesser manslaughter. So the defense has made this motion on paper saying, Judge, we want you to throw the case out or throw out the 2 indictments, or in the alternative, call these people back and ask them questions. Ask them if they really did acquit on 1 and 3, because isn't that what we want? We want the truth. We want justice. And by the way, there's this thing called double jeopardy, where you're not allowed to try somebody twice for the same crime. So if it's true that indeed they did reach a consensus on 1 and 3 to acquit, you shouldn't try her again. It's called, the Constitution is what it's called. And what I found so interesting is the first time when the Commonwealth opposed it, the Commonwealth said, and I wrote this down, Commonwealth said in their original opposition on July 12th, because the mistrial was declared on July 1st. By July 2nd, Juror A contacted Alan Jackson directly the day after the mistrial. And then July 3rd, 2 other people, the informants, contacted David Yannetti. So like within 2 days of the mistrial. So they make their motion. And then by July 8th, Judge Bev has impounded all the jurors' names, right? And she says, I'm not going to release their names until July 18th.
Which I'm glad she did, by the way. But go ahead.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
July 12th, the Commonwealth opposes the motion, and they say, the defendant's unsubstantiated but sensational post-trial claim that the jury reached, I can't even read my handwriting, unanimous decision to acquit lacks any merit or foundation. That's what they said on July 12th, okay? But then in their most recently filed thing on August 1st, they admit that they were contacted by 4 jurors. And what was so interesting about that is they said 3 of them emailed us, and they don't say when they got these emails, but they say on July 16th, we emailed them back to say we couldn't guarantee anonymity and we're not really allowed to talk to you. If they got those emails before their July 12th reply, in which they say this is completely without merit or foundation, they got a big problem. They got a big ethical problem, because if those emails from those 3 jurors were received before July 12th and they didn't admit to it, and they said this is a your motion's a piece of shit, you have no proof, we don't believe any of this, this is totally unsubstantiated, you're making the whole thing up and it doesn't really matter anyway, and they were on notice before July 12th of those 3 other jurors, those emails came in before that. It's a little disingenuous.
Yeah.
You can't lie to the court. You're an officer of the court. You cannot lie to the court. So
and the question is it okay for them to lie to Bev?
She's the court. She's a judge.
Why is it okay for them to lie to Bev is the big question. And I love that you brought this up, because there's one part of that where they say we can't guarantee your anonymity. It seems like a veiled threat.
Oh, totally.
It feels like a veiled threat. Like, why can't you guarantee their anonymity? Why can't you say I can file a motion? I can absolutely file a motion to the judge and say that we're just going to have to, suppress, through court order your identities while we get to the bottom of this.
Well, that was disingenuous too, because on July 17th, Juror Doe filed a motion with his attorney or her attorney. We don't know who Juror Doe is. And said, listen, I want you to seal the names for indefinitely, or at least for a year, because I'm really afraid for my life. Remember that juror said, I think I was being followed, and, we got off the bus and all of a sudden there was media there and people with cameras. And the judge did say that she was going to seal the names of the jurors indefinitely. So
Right.
the Commonwealth now telling these jurors, oh, we can't guarantee your anonymity. Well, the judge did because she said she wasn't going to release the names. So again, like they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, and what they're saying is it's disingenuous.
Clearly.
Like, did they perpetrate a fraud on the court when they filed that July 12th opposition saying that this is without merit or foundation? Had they received those emails from 3 of the jurors? Because he did say he got a voicemail. Lally said he got a voicemail from a juror, same one on July 21st and July 26th. But that would have been after they had already emailed 3 jurors back on July 16th. I mean, I made a chart today. I'm like Brandy Churchwell with my charts right now. Like I had to go back before this show and like write down all these dates. I went through all the papers and like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense to me.
And I
So,
mean,
I am outraged. Everyone
I
should be outraged.
agreed. This is insane shit that I've never seen before. Check this out. Now, I only read a little piece of that thing but we'll if
Oh yeah, go back to Olivia's tweet. Sorry, we cut Olivia off.
Well, if we come back to that, we'll come back to that. But this is something a little more fun. Mike from Young Jerks posted this. And apparently now I don't want to go into the comments because it kind of doxes the person who sent this, who was behind this. But they tried to file a formal complaint against Alan Jackson to the board. To the board, to the state bar, excuse me, in California. We have the the response from the state bar. And it says,
good. Did they say, who are you? You have no standing. What's wrong with you? Why would you do such a stupid thing?
Her name's here, but whatever. I mean, I guess she's pretty public in Facebook. So, but the state bar's office of chief trial counsel.
Wait, make it bigger. I can't read that. Can you zoom on it? Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Look at that. Yay. Well, look, you're learning something. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I still don't know how to use this computer. I have a MacBook Pro and it's still Chinese to me. I have no idea what to do. So it says here the state bar's office of chief trial counsel has reviewed your complaint against Alan Jackson to determine whether there are sufficient grounds to prosecute a possible violation of the State Bar Act and rules of professional conduct. In your complaint, you stated that you are a member of the public who viewed the public Karen Reed trial for killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. You complained that Mr. Jackson is a liar and that he is slandering and defaming multiple innocent parties. You believe he has embarked with the defendant and others on a social media campaign to falsely accuse multiple people. This is to pay all the attorneys involved. In subsequent information you sent in, you also allege that Mr. Jackson is involved in a romantic relationship with the defendant.
Oh, what about me? Did you hear that I went to Cancun with Alan Jackson?
I remember. Yeah. How was that, by the way? So is it Mr. Jackson involved in a romantic relationship with the defendant. Finally, you believe the latest affidavit is full of lies. Based on our evaluation of the information, you can tell that this person had fun writing this, by the way. Based on our evaluation of the information provided, we are closing your complaint. In order to investigate allegations of attorney misconduct, the state bar needs specific facts, which, if proved, would establish a violation of the attorney's ethical duties. Conclusions based on speculation and not supported by facts are insufficient to warrant investigation. We have determined that your complaint does not present sufficient facts to support an investigation. In addition, the court having jurisdiction over the case in Boston and not the discipline system is the appropriate venue to determine whether there are issues with the affidavit or any other conduct in the case and to issue any remedies. Likewise, the court is the appropriate forum to adjudicate any issues relating to the litigation process. Fun stuff. And then they go on. This is fun. For these reasons, the state bar is closing this matter. If you have new facts and circumstances that you believe may change our determination to close your complaint, you may submit a written statement with the new information to the intake unit for review. If you have any questions about this process, you may call trial counsel Christina at 213 blah, blah, blah. If you leave a voice message, be sure to clearly identify the lawyer complained of, the case number assigned, and your telephone number, including the area code. We should return your call within 2 business days. If you have presented all of your information that you wish to have considered and you disagree with the decision to close your complaint, you may request that the State Bar's Complaint Review Unit review your complaint. The Complaint Review Unit will recommend that your complaint be reopened if it determines that further investigation is warranted. To request review by the Complaint Review Unit, you must submit your request in writing, either via email within 90 days of the date of this letter, by email, via United States mail, postmarked within 90 days of the date of this letter by United States mail to blah, blah, blah. If you decide to send new information or documents to this office, the 90-day period will continue to run during the time that this office considers the new material. You may wish to consult with legal counsel for advice regarding any other available remedies. You may contact your local or county bar association to obtain the names of attorneys to assist you in this matter. We would appreciate if you would complete a short anonymous survey about your experience with filing your complaint. While your responses to the survey will not change the outcome of, and I think that's it. I don't think there's only 2 pages there. But
And this is how we do it in California, Judge Bev.
I love that. That's because first of all, I mean, in the longest way possible, they basically said you didn't give us shit, and we're the wrong people to complain to anyway, since it's a Massachusetts case. Like, you need to complain to
But
them.
he's admitted in California. So I mean, that is like the proper, but it's kind of like you don't have standing to make a complaint against him. He's not your lawyer. You know, you can't just go around making complaints against lawyers because you don't like something they tweeted, or because, you think he's a liar because you sat at home and watched the trial on YouTube. You don't have standing. It has to be like, the lawyer stole my money. like the lawyer had my money in escrow. And when I went to ask him for a check, he said, "Oh, sorry, I went to Vegas and
You
spent the
mean
money."
like
Yeah.
Ken Mello?
Yeah, like a little something like that. Like, it has to be, there needs to be some standing there. You can't just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you can go, this is because this is what these people do. This is what these trolls do. They try and, they call people, try and get them fired,
It's amazing.
That's why it's great to not have a boss. Nobody
Right.
can call your boss to fire you. Who's going to get you fired, Will?
Oh,
So
I love it.
ridiculous.
Oh man, people have tried to take down my channel so much. And it's so much fun when I'm the kind of creator that I am, because they're like, how does he get away with using the C word and blah, blah, blah? I'm just like, well, I don't know. I just do.
The day that Proctor used the
must
C
piss
word,
you
we
off,
all
doesn't it?
got demonetized. Nobody got there. Nobody got that. No, absolutely nobody won
Right.
that appeal. So back to what's going to happen tomorrow. She can agree to throw it out on paper, or she could say, listen, well, let's call all the jurors back and question them. And that's what I think she should do in the interest of justice. She should call them all back, because we can't go on papers, because right now we only have, let's say, 4 jurors, right? Because the Commonwealth is admitting to 4 jurors. And we can say, okay, there's 4. I think maybe the defense had 5, but we'll just go for 4 for sake of round numbers. It's still 1/3 of the jury. I think we need to hear from all of them. I don't think she can dismiss it on papers based on 4, jurors who don't really have affidavits, because they're not allowed to get affidavits from them unless they get special permission from the court. But the court can say, we can call them back and we can question them outside the presence of the media, outside the presence of the cameras, and ask them if it's true.
Which, when you're considering the defendant's life and her
freedom,
I don't know, her rights,
money,
right? I mean,
taxpayer
you're considering
money,
these things in the interest of justice and in the interest of protecting someone's rights. Then what you would do is exactly what you just described, which is, okay, well, we need to hear what the jurors have to say about this, and she'll hopefully set a date to where they will interview each juror or poll them or something. Um, but this needs to be heard because if it's not like anybody reached out to the jurors. The jurors
Right.
came forward and reached out and said something. This isn't right. We can't,
Yeah.
in good conscience, just let this happen. Um,
They were
so
outraged.
right.
We're
I mean, they're
outraged.
sitting. Apparently, they were sitting on the bus, and somebody spoke up and went, "Am I going to be the one that has to speak up here and go that this is fucked up?"
Yeah, they were all like, "What do you nobody ever asked us if we didn't." And if you listen to her instructions to them, she's like, "And don't come back to me until you've made a unanimous decision on each count." I'm pretty sure
Right.
that's what she says. So they must have been like, "Okay, well, we haven't reached a unanimous decision on each count. Only 2 out
Right.
of the 3." So there was never any follow-up. And like, that's the judge's job. That everyone's saying, well, the defense didn't ask. Well, but that's the judge's job
And they're
to
putting
do
it on the
that.
jury too. Like I'm
Mhm.
hearing so-called experts on court TV doing the same thing, and they're blaming jurors. They're going, "Well, why didn't the jury tell the judge this?" Dude, that's not the jury's job, man.
Are they
It's the
supposed to say, wait, excuse me, judge, excuse me. Actually, we did decide not guilty on 2, but they don't know. Jurors are lay people. Like, we watch a lot of trials, right? We know a lot of stuff. Like, I just covered the Ashley Benefield trial, which was a horrible case. But in that case, the jury they wanted to hear back some testimony. And in Florida, you can get a read back. You can't do that in Massachusetts, which is freaking insane. But the jury doesn't know that they're allowed to ask for a readback. So they just said, we want some information about this one doctor's testimony. And because they didn't say the magic words, we want to read back, the judge wouldn't give it to them. So it's weird. Like, it's the judge has to run the courtroom. The jury doesn't run the courtroom, and Fanning should not run the jury. And also, it shouldn't be up to the defense attorneys to say, oh, by the way, judge, can you poll the jury? Because they're not supposed to poll the jury.
Well,
But
that's what I'm saying I mean, people keep putting this on the jury. Like, why didn't the jury speak up? Blah, 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 blah. Why didn't they put that in the note when they gave it to the judge? But the problem is it's on the judge, in my opinion. The judge is the one who's giving the jury instructions, right? The
yeah.
jury doesn't really know. The judge is the one. I mean, Bev loved her position of being like, I'm going to teach you guys the law. This
It's
is
like
the
it's
part
law
where I
school.
teach you the law. And then
Mhm.
I
This is the way we do it in Massachusetts, Mr.
right,
Jackson.
I'm here to
We
teach you the
stand
law.
in Massachusetts.
So I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you teach them the part where there's 3 different counts
Mhm,
and there's 3 different charges,
mhm,
and you have to be specific on which charges that you found her guilty or not guilty on.
mhm,
I mean, because that went under my
mhm.
radar too. It all happened so
Right.
fast, even though I already know that. It went right under my radar. I was streaming it live, and I was just like, okay, well, mistrial. That's what we expected. That's it.
Yeah. I had
I
Betterow on with me, and he said, "Okay, well, now we got to hear if they acquitted on any of the counts." And I said, "Okay," and we're just waiting. And she was just like, "Okay, go back to the room. I'll come in and see you in a minute." And we're kind of like, "What?" And this
right.
doesn't happen often. Like, it doesn't happen. There's not a lot of case law out there about it. So the cases that were cited by the Commonwealth that are saying this is never done, and in all these other cases they didn't do it, that was because there was only 1 count in those other cases. So when they said we were deadlocked, there was only 1 count. So the whole thing is just, I mean, look, we should have just expected this because everything in this entire case has been a big mess. So I don't know. I
It,
really thought they were coming back in 2.5 hours with not guilty, but I lost that bet.
yeah. I mean, because common sense dictates it. Listen,
Mhm,
I know you're going to agree with me here because I know Betterow agrees with me because
mhm.
we spoke about it once on someone's panel, and I was like, the entire case is doubt. There's nothing about this case that the
Mhm.
prosecution claims to be proof that any common sense person can't poke holes right through it.
Yep.
So I don't understand if the jury understands that their job, each juror understands that their job is to find reasonable doubt, then what's the
Well,
problem?
it's not their job to find reasonable doubt. Let's just like reword that a little bit. So if they do find reasonable doubt, it's their job to acquit, right? So if they go back to the jury room and they can think of any other way that this could have happened, that's reasonable doubt.
Well, here's
right?
the thing about that. The problem that I have with that, and the reason why I came to that conclusion is
Yeah.
because I can't imagine. Because the rumor is that that the jurors that were voting that they believe that she hit him but didn't mean to. They're stuck on the microscopic pieces of taillight that were in his shirt, supposedly.
That was
But
never really in evidence.
that was never really in evidence. So that's suspicious as fuck right there.
Hmm.
In the first place. Second, as far as that goes, is I mean, how do you not have doubt as far as that goes, even if it was in evidence? How do you
Right.
not have doubt considering the chain of custody? We saw pictures of those pieces of clothing laying on the hospital floor, not
Hmm.
in bags, nothing. Then there's 3 weeks before it's even logged into evidence. So
Hmm.
right there, if I'm a common sense juror, I'm going, well, what do you want me to do? Just think of an infinite amount of different, because I could sit here and do that,
Right.
amount of different possibilities of what happened to those clothes and how microscopic pieces of taillight got in those clothes within a matter of 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And absolutely sit here and brainstorm that. And when I can do that, that means that I have doubt. That right there
Hmm.
is equivalent to me having doubt
Yeah.
that Karen Reed, that those pieces of taillight got there from Karen Reed hitting John with her car. Period. So, I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I can tell
You're pretty
that.
smart.
I mean,
You're pretty
that's my
smart.
moment. I have my moments,
You know about a lot about the case, I mean,
but I
it
mean,
strains credulity. It really does. It
I mean,
gets,
if I'm a juror and I'm a layman, I mean, but I'm a juror and I understand my duties as a juror, there's no way that I can, in good conscience, convict this woman on any charge whatsoever if there's any doubt in the evidence that I'm weighing, that I'm using to weigh my decision, if that makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And yeah, somebody said, yeah, he purposely confused the jurors, Lally did, with all the nonsensical information. Like it was 63 witnesses before the jury even heard the cause of death of Officer Don O'Keefe. Like for 62 witnesses, all they did was talk about who didn't do it. We had no idea how he died or what caused his death, right? And then we come to find out that it was a brain bleed complicated by hypothermia. Well, I mean, the whole case was backwards. It was backwards. It was all about,
Right.
all of these people didn't do it. Therefore, she must have done it. Just like the
Right.
evidence revealed itself
During
over the weeks.
during pretrial period, I was when I was first talking about this case and I was looking at I was watching all the pretrial hearings, I was looking at the documents, I was most specifically the motions and the opposition motions, right?
Mhm.
All I saw was the defense uh pointing things out in their motions. Basically, and yeah, thank you so much, Galen. I appreciate you.
Love
Yeah,
Galen.
yeah, that's so awesome, man. You got a great community. I'm really grateful to you guys for being here. Thank you.
Aw.
Um,
Look at it. Do you see
but
how Scott changed his name to the Albert Spelkhead doors? It
I
cracks me up.
did. Yeah.
We love you, Scott. And Team Brittany, we love you.
Yes, we do. Um, but I lose my train of thought because I
Don't
get
lose your
your
train of thought.
ADHD.
The pretrial
But
stuff you were talking about, the
well,
defense, yeah.
right. I noticed then that there was something going on. I thought it was weird that the defense seemed to be the ones presenting evidence
Mhm.
and the prosecution seemed to be on the defense. And I thought
Yes.
that was extremely telling in pretrial. I thought
Yeah. All
that was telling.
backwards.
And then I was like, well, maybe that'll be different once this hits trial. I kept an open mind until it hit trial.
Mhm.
I was still already convinced. I was like, well, there's no way they're ever going to convict her. If this is the evidence that they plan on using, I don't see how. I mean, I'm convinced that she's being absolutely railroaded. But
Mhm.
maybe there's an ace up Lally's sleeve. Maybe there's some hardcore, uh
Maybe he's got something.
smoking
Maybe he's gonna come
smoking
out with
gun evidence.
injuries below the waist.
Right.
Maybe there's gonna be bumper marks on his legs. Maybe
something
that.
that wasn't made public, something, but
Mhm.
nothing happened. And it was still the entire trial was prosecution even playing like as if they were trying to get in front of what they knew the defense was going to bring up in cross-examination. That's what Lolly's questioning seemed to be. It was all about snow and the weather, and then it got into trying to get in front of what he predicted the defense was going to call them out on, which
Right.
was incredibly suspicious. Right there was telling me a lot.
It was so stupid. It was like they had the ball from jump and they were playing defense the entire time. It made no sense. They never tried to get it over the goal line or make a touchdown. Like it was weird, right? Like
Right.
they could have just talked about what they thought happened. And then if they wanted to rebut some stuff, they could have called all of those people back. They didn't have to call every single person in the house at 34. They didn't have to call every single person who came to the scene. They could have kept it very simple. And if need be, then the burden would shift to the defense to prove the third party culprit stuff, right? Then they could call some other people back and rebuttal. Like it just made no sense. The
None
trial
of it.
was way too long for what it was.
And why in the shit would you call your witnesses to those stands who some weren't even questioned the night of or for days, sometimes
Mhm.
weeks after the fact?
Years.
You're calling them as witnesses to the stand.
Mhm.
You know the defense is going to tear their testimonies apart.
Yep.
You know the defense is going to discredit them immediately. It was as if 90% of the witnesses for the prosecution turned out during cross-examination to be witnesses for the defense.
Mhm.
I could not imagine a jury ever getting deadlocked on anything, which makes me feel like it's absolutely suspicious that they did. Not negligent, just suspicious. It's weird.
But we don't really know what they were hung up on, like that's the
Right.
thing. Like they're saying microscope, but who said microscopic taillight? Like we don't know. That didn't come directly from a juror that in the court papers, so we'll never know what they were talking about unless somebody writes a book, a juror comes out or gives an interview or goes on Good Morning America or pick a show to talk about what they were hung up on. It may have been that they were hung up on this whole chain of events thing. Like if
Right.
Karen Reed set in motion a chain of events that led to his death, then you can find her guilty. Like it was very unclear. I'm telling you, I have 30 years experience and a law degree, and I went back and listened to it today, and I was totally confused by it still.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that, 12 people who don't do this every single day were not also confused by it. They may have been like, well, she was drunk driving, so therefore we can find her guilty, because you don't need to show that anything about her hitting him with the car.
You can't even
Yeah.
prove she was drunk.
No, you can't.
I
I mean,
mean-
that all that evidence was crap, but we don't know. But if we can find out that they did acquit on 1 and 3, it needs to be investigated. It needs to be looked into in the interest of justice. I mean, what are we doing here, Massachusetts?
Right.
What are we doing here, Massachusetts? Like, I used to
You-
think California was the Wild West of courts because they have like their own rules out there. But Massachusetts is literally, so many of their laws are puritanical. I mean, they go back to the Mayflower. Like, that's how old some of this stuff is. Like, the
It has
Commonwealth was citing cases from the 1800s. Like, it's so true. It's like, God save the Commonwealth. Like, God save the Commonwealth. What happens, like separation of church and state, and they're still doing it there? Like they're still, I don't know.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's the upside down. It is, yeah.
Totally. And even Jess Machado chimed in on what Aiden's article was about as far as that one juror. She referred to the same juror as juror number 4. I'll read her.
Oh yeah, do it.
Go ahead and bring that up here. And she posted, in light of what is being reported by Dr. Turtleboy regarding the dismissal of the female juror on the day of closing arguments, I thought it was worth revisiting our live in the moment reporting during that event. These are the chronological observations of that day. Now, she was tweeting throughout that day.
Mhm.
And these are her tweets. And she points out, it should be noted, who I call juror number 4, is the same as who Aiden calls juror number 3. They are the same person. At the start of the trial, there was a juror in the number 1 spot who was moved to the end spot. By the time Aiden joined the press box, juror number 4 was now number 3. So here you've got one that says, "Good morning. We are here at Norfolk Superior Court closing arguments in the Karen Reed murder trial." And then the next one, "Press has been allowed in the courtroom earlier than usual. Karen and her team, as well as," now the dates on here are June 24th. So I just wanted to be clear about that. Karen and her team, as well as her family and friends, are already in the courtroom as well. Karen has been hugging everyone. I can't say her family is looking happy or relaxed. They seem pensive and serious. The next one is, "As you may have heard, the O'Keefe family has invited Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and Jen McCabe to sit with them."
That's insane.
Right. Members of the Reed family looked disgusted as they took their seats. Karen Reed's brother laughed. Okay. Now this is in real time as she's tweeting these. She
That was
says,
insane that they were there.
Totally.
Wasn't that wild? I mean, you want to talk about like jury
Oh.
intimidation? Like that was don't you think that was meant to send a message? Like
Why? What other purpose could I think that would have served? I don't, because first of all, we even heard one of the in one of these allegations, they confused Brian Albert with Brian Higgins and said that they were intimidated by Higgins showing up that last day. We know that he was talking about Brian Albert because Brian Higgins did not show up for any day, except for to testify. Now, and we know the day they're talking about because that was the day that Brian Albert sat there in the courtroom in the gallery, and he was staring directly at the jury. Yeah. So you have Brian Albert, and I find it really interesting that it was those particular people. Brian, Colin. Why Colin? I mean,
if Colin was never in the house, why would he show up for closings?
Right.
The whole thing didn't make any
none.
Well, Colin did know John, I guess, because he lived on the same block, and he would, flip him off and cut through his lawn and stuff, right?
And Carrie,
I was going to say they didn't know
McCabe.
John, but Brian said he didn't know John, really.
Right.
So it's just weird. And Kerry and Jen McCabe.
Yeah. Yeah. The most suspicious people, except for maybe Kerry Roberts, but the most suspicious people that the defense was trying to show the jury were suspicious.
Well, Colin and Brian was the third party culprit. That I mean, they heard the audio recording of
with the
Karen
227 search, right?
And they heard the audio of Karen when she was in custody saying, "Oh, we're all in on the same joke, right? You know that Brian Albert and Colin beat him up, and he was pulverized, and my taillight was cracked." And I mean, and didn't Paul O'Keefe say, by the way, in one of those interviews that he gave afterwards, that we invited them because we wanted the jury to know that we didn't think that they did anything. I think he said that.
Sorry, repeat that one more time. I got distracted by that super chat because somebody was like $50 if you stop smoking. I'm like, $50?
Wait, who did that? I didn't even see it.
You need a lot more than that.
I missed it.
Yeah, thank you so much, David Reese. I appreciate it. So say that one more time. Sorry.
Hold on. Now I forgot what I just said.
I feel so bad.
No, I don't remember. Whatever I said, the viewers heard it. I think it was just that Paul O'Keefe, in one of his post-trial interviews, said the reason that I invited them there is because I wanted the jury to know that we don't think that they did anything.
Well, I mean, Streisand effect in full effect. Like, why would the jury feel that way? I mean, and we also now know that it had the opposite effect because they said that they felt intimidated. I mean, there's nothing about Brian Albert that's not intimidating.
Right. I mean, look, he put the Mr. Rogers sweater on to try and make himself look a little more congenial, but
all he looked like to me was a cult leader at that point. I was like,
I mean, it's like, oh, thank you, jurors. The way he's good morning, jurors. Thank you, jurors. I mean, the guy's a professional witness. He testifies all the time. So, I mean, you could see that he was very comfortable up there on the stand. And he would, the thing that it was like nails on a chalkboard to me, every time he answered a question that the answer was yes, he would say, Yes. Like, what kind of is that? What kind of accent is that? Go back and watch it. He's like, yes.
Very,
Yeah,
yeah, very,
chalkboard.
very weird, man. Very weird. And it's just really interesting how they all just I don't recall. I kept saying those words. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. And Colin
Yeah.
Albert, like, come on. He doesn't say I don't recall. He was told to say those words because there's nothing about that kid that tells me that he says the words I don't recall when he doesn't remember something.
That's how a witness is prepped. I would prep my witnesses the same way. Listen, if you don't remember something, you can say, I don't remember. But if you say, I don't remember, it means you can never recall. If you say, I don't recall, you can always recall later. And so it's like
So it
there's a
doesn't come off as
difference between I
perjury.
don't remember, I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all.
That's
Right?
good
So
to
if you don't
know.
remember, it means you never knew, or you're not going to remember any other time. But if you don't recall, it'd be like, oh, but now I recall. Because you just refreshed my recollection.
I would have never, would have
But
never made
sometimes that's how the witnesses are prepped. Yeah, because a kid like him saying, I don't recall, doesn't make any sense. But again, and I don't know that Colin Albert was there. I don't know that he had anything to do with anything. I mean, I've been accused of accusing a 17-year-old of murder, which, by the way, I've never done. I've never said anything about Colin Albert. So take that off your bingo card and take this soundbite and make your funny
I'm calling
videos
him a
with it.
liar. Yeah, I'm calling him a liar. That's what I'm calling him, is a
Why
liar.
drag him into this? Why make him come and sit at the closings? Like, there was no reason for him to be there. There was only 10 seats per side. Those seats were money. Like, that's who you're going to pick. You're going to force him to do that. Like, he's a young kid. Leave him alone. Don't make him go there. Don't make him sit through that on camera the whole time.
Yeah. I thought that was super weird. Because I've never flat out accused anybody of anything. Because I still stand by my statement. All I know is Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle. That's all I know. And there's only one other place to look.
Agreed with you on
inside 34 Fairview. That's the only other place you could look. It's the only place that exists is
Well,
inside 34 Fairview as far as what happened to John O'Keefe.
Yeah.
But now,
or maybe a perpetrator came walking down the street in the blizzard and attacked him and stole his wallet and threw his cell phone underneath his body after he punched him out and left him there to die in the cold. Like, we don't know, right? Because we weren't there. But all we do know, or I know for a fact, is that Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her car. That is how simple this case is.
Right.
So all of these other people making up stories about their phone searching at 2:27 a.m. Haas long dying cold, and then butt dialing each other, and then picking up the other person's butt dial, and then 22-second conversations that you really can't say anything at, and a couple of calls to Nicole Albert in the morning that maybe might have been picked up. Like all of that stuff afterward, it's the stuff that looks so suspicious that happened after.
Right.
That makes them look like they're trying to cover something up. Makes them look like they're trying to cover something up, whether they are or not. Why did two of them go and destroy their cell phones and break their SIM cards in half? Maybe it was for another reason. Maybe they were cheating on their wives. I don't know. Like, we don't know why. But it's just, when you put all of those things together, it's not too hard to sort of think like there may be something else going on here.
And that's the thing, is the evidence doesn't indicate to me that Colin Albert did anything any more than to me the evidence would indicate to me that Higgins had the motive. I'm not saying Higgins did anything, but my money's on Higgins if I have to look at all of the facts and I have to speculate, and I'm going to speculate responsibly as to theorizing what could have happened to Officer John O'Keefe. I'm going to say Higgins had the most motive.
And that makes me feel bad for Colin too, because then why did they all lie about him? Why lie about him and make it look suspicious? Right. It's all of them lying that makes them look guilty, says True Crime Addict. Like, if Colin wasn't, like, why lie that he wasn't there at all? Oh, because I was never asked that. That was always Gemma Cave's answer. I was never asked that. And then she's handed a 200-page transcript, and he's like, tell me where once in 200 pages you ever said that she said I hit him. She's like, well, do you want me to read it? I would have been like, yeah, I'll wait.
even though she seemed like she had it memorized
Start.
with like
Of course she
certain
did.
time. Yeah, she had
Wasn't in there.
times. She had exact times, like
Mhm.
quick to answer with. She was, I mean, everything about Jen McCabe tells me she's a total control freak, an absolute and utter control freak.
Look, I feel bad for all the kids that were dragged into this and having to get up on that stand and, Life 360 and all that stuff. Like, and the
Right.
Commonwealth called them, by the way. It wasn't the
Yeah.
defense subpoenaing them to come up on the stand. The Commonwealth called
Again,
them.
playing defense. Everything was about Turtle Boy too, because that was just them playing defense against Turtle Boy's accusation. Wasn't even the defense's accusations. It was Turtle Boy's accusations. So they're trying to get in front of Turtle Boy's accusations using their witnesses to do it. It's very, very fascinating. Like I was like,
Yeah.
how do you guys see what you look like doing this?
What was the purpose of calling Allie McCabe at all? Why call Allie McCabe to the stand at all? Why? Why did they even need to call her? They didn't need to call her. Unless in rebuttal, they needed her to prove something that it was like there was no reason for it. The niece
Right.
and nephew, they didn't add anything. And the trauma
No.
that those children are going to go through for the rest of their lives for being called to testify like that is beyond, because, they're going to have some guilt about like, oh, well, there was a mistrial. Maybe it's because my testimony wasn't good enough, and my whole family has to go through this all again. And maybe it's because of something I did or should have done or didn't do right. Like they didn't add anything. All their
No.
testimony was wound up saying was that proving is that Karen didn't have access to the ring camera footage.
Right.
Right? Because it wasn't on the computer and she didn't have access to the computer. So it kind of helped the defense.
Totally. Like it was
crazy.
really bizarre, and good on David Yannetti for publicly speaking on that and just being like, I'm appalled that they even called these kids up here. Like those kids they contributed nothing to their case, and as you just explained, just put these kids through this for nothing.
Yeah.
Does no good. It did their case no good. It did Karen Reed. I mean, it did Karen Reed some good, but she didn't want it that way. I guarantee you she didn't want it that way.
No, I'm sure she didn't. She loved those kids. She was very good to those kids. I mean,
Right.
all the evidence that came out said she was very good to them. She spoiled them. She bought them nice things. She took the niece to Dunkin' Donuts for a nice coffee before, like that's the worst thing she ever did. Like that's the worst thing that you can say about her is that she yelled at that, Aruba chick in the lobby, which by the way, probably did look suspicious when she walked in on it. Like,
sure.
She could have done a lot worse than just yell at her and call her the, whatever she called her. I don't remember what she called her, but like, that's the best you got, really.
I mean, and you're drinking and it's gonna, stuff like that's gonna happen. And of course, what ends up happening is their witness that was put up there to make her look like she was unhinged testifies that Karen later comes up to her and says, I would love to pay for your room for the rest of the trip. I want to make this right. I'm so sorry for the way that I acted. That's not the behavior of an unhinged, crazy person who's going to run over her police officer boyfriend with her SUV in a fit of jealousy. Like what, a month later?
Yeah, the same one who actually went and picked up the dinner tab for like 10 or 15 people behind everyone's back before the bill even came. And the waiter's like, oh, she already took care of it. Like that person, that generous person. All right.
It's so crazy. Like where I get stuck most with all of these things is always, it comes back full circle to how any juror did not have doubt in every single juror didn't walk out of there going, oh, listen, there's too much doubt.
I have no idea what happened.
I have too many questions for me to sit here and go, okay, she's guilty of this charge. Not one charge can I think of where they could justify being like, she did it.
I mean, it would be so great if some of them would like come on the air and tell us, what was it? Because those are the things that the defense is going to have to hammer home next time.
And you can tell they're dying to if they're coming forward to the defense and they're saying, would anybody listen to us, please?
Yeah, in the interest of justice. And they tried going to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth just blew them off.
Right.
And is not even
threaten
telling
them.
us when they got those emails. Because if they got those emails like the day after the mistrial, like Alan Jackson and David Unetti did, like 2 days later, and because let's say these jurors reached out to both sides, they said, "All right, I'm going to call Alan Jackson because for whatever reason, and I'm going to call David Unetti, and I'm also going to call the defense. I mean, the prosecution. I keep saying the defense because they seem like the defense, and they're not the Commonwealth. Maybe they reached out to both.
Well, that's that later on, obviously, the prosecution admits to this.
That's
You
what I'm
know?
saying. But who knows?
Yeah.
They didn't say when they got those emails.
Right.
Did they get them right away? And they just tried to swoop it under the rug, like, we're not going to say anything because we're just going to. They didn't even write them back until July 16th. They didn't say when they got the emails.
Right.
I need to know. I have questions.
I agree with you. I feel like that's going to come out in arguments tomorrow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope it does. If anybody's listening who's arguing tomorrow, Marty Weinberg, you need to know when they had those emails, because if they had those emails before their response to you on July 12th, their assertions that your motion lacked any merit or foundation are disingenuous.
I'm interested to see what this Weinberg gentleman can do. I'm interested in seeing him in action, most definitely. So Jess's tweets continue to go. We're waiting quietly for both the jury and judge to enter the courtroom. It seems surreal that this is finally happening. I have tried to provide unbiased coverage from the start, but I fear my emotions may take over today. Bear with me. Look at old Jess. I spoke with supporters outside this morning, many first-timers here. Everyone wants a verdict today. Judge has arrived and has called a sidebar to start. I was so nervous I missed Bev's shoes.
Was she looking at her shoes every day? That's so funny. I want to know what kind of shoes she was wearing.
Oh man, yeah. Like I've talked so much shit about Bev.
Was she wearing Skechers or like Easy Spirits, or was she wearing like stilettos? Like now I need to know. I picture her to be like, like I don't know, like orthopedic shoes, maybe like a nurse would wear, like the old time nurse shoes. Like, look, I worked at Howard Johnson's when I was growing up. I was a Howard Johnson's counter girl. I had a orange polyester uniform. We used to have to wear these like white orthopedic shoes that nurses used to wear. Now they wear Crocs probably, but that's what I'm figuring. But I don't know. Maybe she's wearing 4-inch stilettos. What do you think?
I have no idea. All I know is there were a lot of things that I didn't take into consideration from being in that courtroom. And as soon as I sat down, I realized I was at Beverly Cannoni's 12 o'clock. And I was like, oh my God. Like I have spent weeks talking shit about this lady. Is he gonna kick me out or what?
No.
And I'm sitting right, totally. And I'm sitting there like, and I think that the seating arrangement was changed the next day only because I really couldn't hide my reactions. I'm sitting right next to Karen Reed's mom, and every time Lally would do something or not do something, I would sit there and be like, like I'm that guy in the gallery that's like, dude, and I'm quiet, but I'm like,
did anybody have to shush you?
There were like
did Alan turn around and go, shh?
No, but Karen's mom put her hand on my leg once or twice to like, hey, like chill the fuck out, and then of course I wasn't sitting next to her the next day. But that might not have had anything to do with it.
Kelly says she does wear stilettos, really high ones. You can't make that. I'd be so afraid of tripping on that judge robe that I would be like afraid that I get my heel caught in them. But and look at Bev rocking the stilettos. Somebody said Birkenstocks in there. I don't make fun of Birkenstocks. I love my Birkenstocks.
You would, you deadhead.
I know, they're comfortable. I still have a pair from college. They last forever. Back in fashion now.
I can't imagine her wearing uncomfortable shoes the whole time.
But she's sitting down, swinging around in her chair with her glasses. Did you see that video? Was it Microdots that did it, or Aussie Insider, of when Crash Daddy #1 was on the stand? And it's like she's looking at him like,
Oh, that's
With
most
this
likely
music in the
Aussie
background.
Insider.
Oh my god, it's hilarious.
Yeah, Microdots keeps it pretty serious, but
Yeah,
there's
I
been
think it was
some
Aussie,
great.
but it's comedy gold.
And Joe Flipperhead on Twitter has been he's got a YouTube channel too, but he gets more attention on Twitter for
Mhm.
his videos. Just fun stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's so much bullshit in this case that like you have to laugh at.
I know, that's why you have to make some comedy out of it. I mean, just like the evidence revealing itself. Just the fact that Yuri got up there and said, actually with a straight face said, yeah, we didn't need to call back the CERT team, even though they said they'd come back once the snow melted, because I just told my guys, drive by 34 on your way to work, drive by 34 on your way home, because that's the way they all go anyway. They all take that route, and then we'll just see if anything else, reveals itself.
Yeah. I don't I mean
Like the
and
guy who went.
how are you gonna okay. Now did you get to go to 34 Fairview while you were there?
No, I didn't go. I didn't want to be a grief tourist. I did not want to jump up onto their front porch and like the Pink Panther.
No, I didn't do that
I didn't even
either.
have time to. Really, it was a
Tom
quick trip.
Tom CPU drove me up there and Scott McGinnis followed behind and we didn't hang out long. It was just I just wanted to see what the yard looked like.
So what
No
is
way.
it's a lot
No way.
smaller than it
Totally.
looks.
Totally. So like and I have to see this for myself. I take most of my viewers' word for certain things, and most of them are like, yeah, it's super small. It doesn't look nearly as it's not nearly as big as pictures make it look. But I went there and I saw the yard. There's no way that nobody saw and I believe that this is the one thing that anybody who was attending that party were truthful about
Right.
is they didn't see John's body lying out in the lawn because he wasn't out there.
Oh,
It's inside the
but
house.
Julie Nagel saw that 5 to 6
Blob.
long blob for the first time ever on the
Right.
stand. I mean, I
No.
think she was like so obsessed with Jen McCabe that she just wanted, like, I feel like, because it was so weird, the testimony about how, like, well, Jen showed up and then all of a sudden Julie wanted to stay. It was like the whole thing was weird. And then Jen's asking her for copies of her screenshots to her brother. Like, all that stuff came out in the trial. Like, if you're sitting on the jury, aren't you like, what? Like, why are they doing all this?
And then there was just some weird excuse that made no sense as to why. Like why
Right.
did you why did you ask her for her screenshots? Well, like I mean
Higgins' Jeep being in front of the mailbox. Well, that was never tied up.
that was never tied up until he
What
said
happened?
so. That his Jeep was parked in front of the I was like, wait a minute, that changes everything. So now it's even less possible for Karen Reed to back up into that at that speed,
Right.
and hit John. That makes no sense.
I was so confused by Lally trying to
Right.
bring that out, and I was like, okay, he's going to tie it up eventually. He's going to make it make sense, right? But he never made it make sense.
At no point. At no
And
point.
about his whole thing about the plow, was it up or down, and which way was it turned or tilted or whatever like? Why did it matter? There was so much extraneous nonsense.
What's up,
was it
Aiden?
snowing?
I love when he just like randomly shows up in my chat. He's just like, fuck that person. They're an asshole.
Oh my God. It's so, but yeah, like her, I mean, that was like made up, like that blob. Like that was the first time she ever said that was when she was on the stand, right? She never told anybody about a blob. She wasn't even interviewed, I think. I mean, Aiden would know better than I, but like for at least 18 months, I think.
Yeah.
At least.
My theory, I remember at first, long before it was right after I had already like done enough research on this case to where I was just like, something is seriously fucking wrong here. And then it was like, all right, now I'm ready to start looking into Turtle Boy's investigations. Now I'm ready to start reading his articles. And then I brought him on the show because I was like, I got questions. And I had a very loose theory as far as motive goes on Matt McCabe, because, my theory was based on like, okay, well, Matt McCabe, there was jealousy because of the time that Officer John O'Keefe would spend with Jen McCabe and their kids playing together and things of that nature. Maybe he felt insecure, blah, blah, blah. And while I'm starting to explain this, Aiden is like sitting here shaking his head going, no, dude, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, why is this so unbelievable? He's like, you haven't met that guy. Like, if you meet this guy, you'll know that this
Timu, did you call him Timu John Travolta? Was it you? Timu
No.
John Travolta.
Probably somebody in my
talk
chat.
about whipped. I mean, first of all, he said on the stand, he goes, "Well, yeah. I mean, I was at a bar. Of course, I was happy." Like that was the only.
As soon as the guy said what he was drinking, I was just like, okay, yeah, no, this is what did you say? A splash of Crystal Light? Did you what? Like that's
It's like the new drink now: vodka with water and a splash of Crystal Light.
Yeah, you're tucking your Johnson, buddy. Like clearly, that's not. It's come on, no grown man drinks that. Stop it.
Do you think he got a whipping when he got home? Because he testified right before Jen, right? So he's on the stand. I was just thinking about this, that like their dynamic, because he's testifying about how, I was happy because I was in a bar, and he's talking about how she's kind of a pain in the ass, right? His wife. And he testifies before her, so she can't be home watching YouTube and seeing him on TV yet because she's in the hallway or in the basement waiting, because I think she came up right after him. And he's presented with those group text messages, and the look on his face is like, holy shit. Like, he's like, where did they find these? Oh my God, what am I going to say? And you could the smoke was coming out of his ears. Like, you could hear like the wheels, the gears turning in his head. The gerbil was running around the wheel in his brain. And he's like, how am I getting out of this? And then he has to like make up some shit, right? Because now he's like, he has no idea where these messages came from, and like tell them the guy never went in the house. And he's like, oh, I just told him that, they were at D&E eating pizza. And I said, ask the reporters, something. I can't remember what it was. And then he got questioned about driving by the house and doing recon for Bri and saying like, they're at the Asian house or whatever. All that testimony. Remember that? Those are messages he didn't know existed. And then I'm thinking, how much is she going to kick his ass when he gets home later and she gets a chance to watch his testimony? Like, he went off book. He did not stick to the script.
No.
He's got to think that he totally got his ass handed to him when he got home. I'm just saying.
Yeah. There's no, that and just like watching that dude just sit there and try to stonewall and act like he had some sort of a sense of authority in any way, shape, or form. It's not in his DNA, so he can't even act like it. It was really funny to watch this.
He should never play poker. He should never play poker. He got a timeout. Somebody said, I think he was.
And when he first, because I was sarcastically and jokingly using the term playing grab ass prior to his testimony.
Oh,
and
no, you were not. That's
I was.
crazy.
And when he got up there, goes, we're just playing grab ass. I was like, oh my God, this guy just fucking said grab ass. Like, really? Like,
wait, he was watching your show. Did you say it that day, or you had said it in prior shows?
Prior to, because I think
he was watching your show.
Yeah, Brian Albert was.
I think they're watching right now.
Of course,
Matt, I didn't call you Timu John Travolta. It wasn't me. It was somebody else. And I just thought it was funny. We're just making jokes. You're a very attractive man. And I'm sure you're going to do very, very well with the ladies. And you have really nice teeth. So
Matt, I wish I could say the same thing. I can tell you that I called you a lot of things, but I don't remember what they were. I would probably call you them again. But
oh well. Poor Matt got roped into it too. But again, I think he just kind of wanted to be the ringleader. Like, hey, Brian's gonna be proud of me. I'm out there. I'm doing recon. I'm telling them what's up. I'm snapping pictures of the police out there doing their job. But like, why? Why were they doing that?
Right.
Again, why?
He's the guy that wants to be respected in the group, and nobody does. Like, he just doesn't have. He's not cut from the same cloth as like Brian Albert or even Brian Higgins. Like, he's
not law enforcement.
He's the guy
doesn't have a gun.
He's the guy that when he's talking, one of them just instinctively goes, "Shut the fuck up," and then they just keep talking. He's that guy, guaranteed.
He doesn't have a gun. He's not backing.
No respect from anybody in that family, guaranteed. No respect.
Oh, it's sad. Remember he said he was going to pick up a car? I still want to know what that was about. He said I was going to pick up a car. I was driving through the neighborhood and I saw that the cops were there at the Asian's house. I was going to pick up a car. Was he a car dealer? I don't know. I'm still confused about that.
Is Ryan Upchurch in here right now? I saw Team Brittany say that Ryan Upchurch was in here. I don't see his comment though.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm
chat's
glad he's
moving
in here.
quickly.
Dude, I just want to go on record.
Oh, he wants to sing for me. It says he wants to sing for me.
I want to tell
I would love
Ryan
that.
Upchurch. I want to tell you, dude, that I am totally rooting for you in your lawsuit against Ikadmal. I think he is a total douchebag. And just at a general principle, even if I think you're wrong, I hope you win because fuck that guy. Just wanted to say that out loud.
Well, he's been going after our friend Brandy, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Of late. Like this is like
yeah.
You want to talk about like hate sells? Like that guy's selling it. What is with that? Why?
Yeah.
What does he have against Brandy?
Well, what it boils down to is Ikadmal didn't do any fucking research on this case. He thinks he's an expert because he served as a juror once in a trial. And he was like, well, I'm just going to approach this like a juror. And he figured that he could, cover the trial and cash in on the revenue that it's going to generate as a creator, which I understand that's fine. A lot of creators did this, so I get that, but he still just I don't understand the logic behind putting forth so much effort into trash talking people who have done the research without actually doing any research. Like, why not take that energy and just look at the documents that are made available to you? I believe I even sent him at one point personally the Sleuthy Goosey spreadsheet. I think I did that. And instead of doing any research, what he did was showed his true colors and shows he doesn't actually do any research. He reads articles. This is not the case where you're going to get your information from articles. You're going to get the information that you need to understand this case properly by reading the documents. And it seems like a lot, but once you actually read them, once you actually do, or at least get the ball rolling on it, before you know it, you're getting through it all, because you're going, whoa, wait a minute, how is that even possible? Let me check back on this statement, because this statement is saying this, and it's all right there. It's
page
all
turner.
right there. Totally.
It's like a cliffhanger. It's like, wait a minute, and then you like all the different statements that Jen McCabe made,
yeah,
and how everything changed.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know who Ryan Upchurch is, we have a little history, me and him, in talking about another case. Yeah, you wouldn't know. But
I'm new to all the YouTube drama. I don't know. I don't know from drama.
He's the superimposed image here.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad.
That's Ryan.
I thought it was Johnny Depp. All this time I thought that was Johnny Depp in like Pirates of the Caribbean.
And he is actually very cool about it. Like he was in the chat one time when I played it. But yeah, he's Ryan, you're famous even beyond your music now, because people have made signs with your image at these protests. They don't know who you are. They're signs for me, but there's signs with your image on them. Just so you know.
Who's the second person? The person that's dancing, the super chat person.
That's it. That's some
both of them
dancer and somebody,
put his face on that one too. Oh boy,
right.
I can't unsee that person. That's
they refaced his face on them, right? And I just randomly found this on the internet. Like, I didn't even make that one. I randomly found it, and I've just been using it as my super chat alert there. And yeah, he was tickled from it. He laughed when he was in the chat one time and I showed it to him. He was cool about it. So that right there definitely win some points with me as far as like, okay, yeah, I see Ryan. He's a cool guy. He's all right.
He didn't come here to hate on us, did he?
I don't think he
No.
did. When we talk about this case, he seems to pop in, but I don't. I'm weary about him getting involved in this case. I'm a little weary about it because we did butt heads in another case, and
Well, I mean, if he's got common sense, then he can get it. Look, he was not hit by a car. It's just that's how simple it is, really. That's all it comes down to. You could sprinkle all the taillight you want, you
right.
know.
I
Those are
mean,
dog bites. Like those are not slices from a piece of taillight that broke off from. I mean, Crash Daddy built a cannon. Dude built a
dude,
cannon
yeah,
to shoot a cocktail glass at a taillight,
yeah.
and he still couldn't break the taillight.
The wolf. Oh, he totally built a cannon, and he thought it was the coolest
He
fucking
thought
thing
it
in
was
the
so
world.
awesome, and it was so awesome. I'm backing out of my driveway today, and I'm going 6 miles an hour, and my car's beeping like hell. It's like beep, 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 slow down, slow down, slow down. There's no way you could do 24 miles an hour in reverse.
Oh man,
You
yeah,
just can't do it
yeah, and 60
without
feet,
bumper
it's
marks to someone's lower body. It
and with
just
a
can't.
Jeep parked right behind with a plow attached to the front.
Yeah.
Not possible. Not
Yep.
possible. Not possible. That's a question I'd like to ask Ryan Upchurch himself, because he's familiar with snow and
Does
equipment
he wanna come
such as
on?
that. I would let him
come
up
join
here.
the cool kids?
I would let him up here if he wanted to. I'd be happy to send him a link if he wanted to come up here. But I don't know if he wants to or what, but I don't think he's familiar with this case at all. But he has popped in here with curiosity-based questions. But it's definitely right up his alley because there's definitely conspiracy theories that apply here. And
It's
so
not even a theory, it's just real. He just
I
wasn't hit by
mean,
a car.
it
Why did they
just is
leak
what
to
it
the
is.
media right away that there was video of the incident? The jury pool was tainted from jump. And then Michael Marcy getting on and doing that hostage video in his conference room. Colin Albert was not in the house and they're all innocent and she's guilty. And I mean, that was insane what he did.
I don't. Yeah, I can't. Everything that they said, he said that there was video, there was dash cam footage that showed the tail light.
Mhm.
We never saw that dash cam footage. We saw other dash cam footage, but nothing that specifically showed the tail light. And
Nope.
and Lally pointed this out in pretrial. Like he was like, we have, like he said that shit specifically. He was like, we have dash cam footage that shows the tail light shattered and broken at this particular time, but we never saw that. Why didn't we ever?
We
see
thought
that?
that we were going to see it when they started showing the dash cam video of the officer who went to do the wellness check at One Meadows, and he pulls up right behind the car, and we're like waiting, and like, okay, wait, where is it? Where is it? And they broke for the day, and I'm like, oh damn, it was like a real cliffhanger. And then they came back, and they never tied that together either because it was covered in snow. Couldn't
And
see
that
it.
reminds me that reminds me of something else. They also said that the ring camera footage from John's house showed Karen Reed showing Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts the damage on the taillight, and that never happened.
Because Carrie testified that they looked at Karen's taillight in front of Jen McCabe's house. That was Carrie's testimony, and I'm like, okay. And now you're going to have Jen testified to something else. And then he shows the video and it shows them running into the house, not looking at the taillight, but she didn't take her shoes off. So she must be guilty.
Right.
She didn't take her shoes off because she knew he was never coming home.
Somebody mentioned
Who
an
believes
interesting.
this?
I agree. Yeah. It's completely ridiculous that this is the
It's all
stuff
about
that
the
they would bring up.
shoes. Yeah.
Right. And somebody made it a point at one point in one of my comments, said in one of my past live streams, said, well, that would probably explain why one of his shoes was missing was because he had the habit of taking off his shoes when he went into someone's house.
He
So
had a shoeless house.
as soon as he walked into someone's home, he said, I'm going to respect their home the way that I would expect people to respect my home. I'm going to take my shoes off.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense to me.
And also, Nicole testified she went in the front door, not the side door, because there was a little bench for you to sit down and take off your shoes. And she was cleaning all the time, Nicole, too. Remember, she loves to clean. Like 5 people testified how she loves to clean. She's like, I went inside. I started cleaning right away. I was cleaning. You think she's going to let all those kids wear their shoes in her house on the night of a blizzard? Oh, no. I bet you anything.
No.
And I was waiting for that question. Do you have a shoeless house? Do you have people taking off? And here's the other thing that I thought. If he took his shoes off, where are the socks? Where are the socks? He had socks on in the hospital. There's a picture of those socks. The socks would have had dog hair on them if he went into that house and took off his shoes. Where are the socks?
And I'm telling you, man, it's a different shoe, dude. The shoe that they pulled up in court. I saw the picture. I'm telling you. Where can I find? Oh my God, it's a Vinnie Politan video that showed it, and they didn't even point it out. But there's a picture of a shoe sitting in the snow. They're claiming it's John's shoe, and the sole is black. And a lot of people were arguing, saying that's a shadow. Not a shadow, man. It's not a shadow. And I wish I could pull it up right now. If I could find it quickly enough, then I will.
Yeah.
But
God. Socks would have dog hair on them. That's what I'm saying too. A lot of people say the shoe was 1,000%. It was a different shoe. Maybe Chloe chewed up the shoe and they had to find a replacement shoe. And then they were given that scavenger hunt. You know, here is what you got to find, guys. You got to find a shoe, a hat, and some taillight pieces. Go. Because that's what they did. They did a little scavenger hunt when the CERT team came that evening. In my opinion, it was a scavenger hunt.
This is the craziest.
And, you know, somebody had said that about the hat too long ago. That the reason it took so long to find the hat is because they had to replace the hat, and it was a hard hat to find. Like, I don't know. When did they find the hat? Do you remember when they found the hat? It wasn't like the same day. It was like a week later, right? It revealed itself again.
Boom. There it is.
White sole and black sole.
That's a black sole. Like,
I mean,
people are trying to say, oh, well, it's a shadow. Dude, snow does not eliminate shadows. You see what I'm saying? Like, there would be a shadow coming over the snow here on top of, you see my cursor? There would be a shadow that wouldn't just stop. And here's the line of the sole of the shoe right here.
Yeah, and somebody had a picture of like side-by-side models of Nikes where there is a shoe that has a black sole and that does have this white like trim, right? And then a black sole. And they had it side by side with like a picture of the shoe with the white sole. And you can see when he's in the bar in that video, he picks up his shoe and you can see that his sneakers do have white soles. Not black soles. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In the video. So why did they panic and stick another shoe out there? What was the purpose of switching the shoe? I can't explain that. But one thing I can tell you definitively, without a doubt in my mind, that is a black sole at the bottom of that shoe.
But when they pulled it out of the bag in the courtroom, I think they only pulled out one shoe, right? Did they ever show the other shoe? And the shoe that they pulled out did have a white sole. And this looks like it's a left shoe, right? This is a left shoe, unless it's inverted, in which case it's a right shoe. Who the hell knows? Who the hell? They had a special magic camera. It was like, you know, I don't know, special magic camera. David Blaine came and took some pictures, pulled out a shoe and a dove from his top hat. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we here?
Turtle Boy is referencing that moment. Like, I think Turtle Boy was actually on my panel during that court hearing during that trial hearing where they were talking about her having motive because she didn't take the shoes off. We were laughing about it. And we made that reference, that whole, you know, Rick James reference from Chappelle. Fuck your couch. It's like, fuck your floor. Karen Reed doesn't care about John O'Keefe's floor, so she must have killed him.
How dare she?
Come on,
How
dude.
I mean, the only reason she showed up that day is because he wanted to ride home. Because he said Kurt was whipped. Kurt had to be home by like 6:00. Carrie wasn't going to let him stay out past 6. And then they were all dissing their wives on the stand, right? And Kurt also said, yeah, I had to go home and shovel, or she would have really came home in a mood. So we already knew that Carrie was in a mood, or would have been in a mood. He had to be home by 6 because she would get mad if he stayed out without her. Too late for happy hour. And then he said something else about, like, why were they calling Kurt Roberts to the stand? What was the purpose of his testimony?
Dude,
Because all his testimony did was like diss his wife, really, and that he was there. He was at the CF McCarthy's with him. That was it.
right? Like,
And Karen was welcomed when she came there. They tried to say for a long time that she just showed up. She was uninvited, and she just like crashed their guys' night or whatever. But meanwhile, he's texting her like, "Hey, can you come and pick me up all the way from wherever she lived, because Kurt has to leave and I don't have a ride, and I need you to come pick me up."
right. Lolly's case was Costanza's knuckle move. You know what I mean? Like Elaine explained it. Elaine was like,
"You stole my move."
Well, no, Elaine explained it as like a big budget movie with a story that goes nowhere.
The movie.
Like,
the move. There's another Seinfeld episode about the move.
He has all this build up, and he's like building up. Okay, this person was at CF McCarthy's, and then the waterfall. This person was at CF McCarthy's, and the waterfall. Blah blah blah. And then look at the snow and this and that, and then none of it ties together.
Right. It was a whole case about nothing. It was a case about nothing.
It was a case about nothing.
And yada yada yada. And so here's what happened. It was snowing and yada yada yada. That should have been his closing.
Insane,
Mike Camerano. Right? Yeah, Mike Camerano. And Mike really liked Karen. Mike was really nice. Mike was a nice guy, and his wife was really nice too. She testified too. She was like, wasn't she the nurse? She worked at the hospital.
Nobody said anything bad about her, except for the only person that seemed to have any contempt for her was Carrie Roberts.
No, you know who did? That skank from Aruba. What was her name?
Right, that's right.
Marietta Sullivan.
She was
thought
so
she was
angry.
a bitch and went out and said, "We hate her, don't we?" Oh, she sucks. That's what she said. She sucks.
Right.
Oh no, I would never make out with John. He's like an uncle to me or something. And we're all like, mm-hmm.
But Carrie Roberts had an inventory of every girlfriend that John O'Keefe had, what she did for a living. These were things that I caught because I have a history of dating crazy. And so I'm just like, oh, I know that type right there, where they know every single girl that I'm dating and where they live, what they do for a living. So, the dancer, John was dating the dancer at the time, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, yeah, I see you, Carrie
Bella's
Roberts.
mom. Bella's mom. They had to bring up Bella's mom. But I think for her, John was the one that got away, and she still was pining for him.
Right.
Like all the women were pining for him. And let me tell you something. If my boyfriend is getting texted by all of these women every day, all day, like, where are you? Where are you? When are you coming? When are you coming? I'm like, what? Why are these women texting you all the time? It's weird. Why was Jen McCabe calling his phone 24 times that night? I mean, she must have been like, I would love to see like the text messages leading up to that day. How many times a day was she texting him? Just about random stuff. It's weird, right?
She was insecure. My theory, honestly, is that Karen Reed was just simply insecure about their relationship. That's not a motive for murder. I feel like what happened was she dropped him off. And it was kind of like, you know what? Go fucking have fun with your friends, blah, blah, blah. Go fuck that girl who's always texting you and calling you. I don't care. And then leaves and then regrets it and realizes, fuck, I just put him in a position to where he's going to just, like spite cheat. You know what I mean?
Here's what I think. This is the woman's
that's where her mind started racing, and that's why the nature of her voicemails were like, "Oh, you're dirty, and you're disgusting, and you're cheating, and blah blah blah." And
she called him a pervert at one point.
Right, a pervert, and right. I mean, that wasn't anything.
I think he was an avoidant. If you know, you know. Anybody in the chat knows what an avoidant is. And I think that, they had gotten in a fight that morning and she kept trying to make up with him, right? She kept all day. She's like, can you please talk to me? I just want to make up with you. I want to make up with you. And he was blowing her off all day. Like, I don't have time for you. Stop calling me. Leave me alone. Blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
then all of a sudden, when he needs something like a ride home, he's like, oh, can you come and pick me up? What time are you coming? What time are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming? Right? Because he needed something from her. And all day she's trying to make up with him. And like, if you've been in relationships like this, like one person's trying to make up and the other person just keeps running away because they can't deal with it. And
I've been
let's
that guy.
and I don't want to disparage a person who's no longer among the living, but listen, his blood alcohol content was 0.28. Okay. That is like almost 3 times the legal limit. He was likely hammered and she went there to get him. And then she goes to the waterfall. She doesn't really like any of these people. And then Higgins is there. And we know that there was something going on, whether she was looking for attention or whatever. She's probably like, let's just get the hell out of here and go home. I'm tired. I don't feel well. And he wants to keep the party going. And she's like, screw you. Like, I came all the way here to get you. And now you're going to go in this party with these chicks that are texting you all the time. She was probably mad.
Right.
And she probably was like, all right, call me when you get in and let me know if it's okay if I come in because I feel like a third wheel. I don't really know these people. I don't like these girls. I don't really want to. And he doesn't text her back. So now she's really mad. That's why she texted him 700 times and started leaving him nasty messages because she was being ignored. And women and men in the chat, how many of you don't like being ignored and you're going to keep escalating with your messages until somebody responds to you, which is why I think she said to him, I'm leaving your kids here alone because she thought that would get an answer from him. And it didn't.
Right.
So many people thought that she was setting up her alibi. She said that she was in Mansfield. She was setting up her alibi. She was trying to get an answer out of him. He was ignoring her. She didn't like it. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I absolutely. I think that is very telling. It's like Lally just didn't even understand that this makes her seem less likely that she was guilty of something rather than just being just jealous and pissed off and hoping that he's coming home somehow, doing anything to coax him into coming home. I think that her whole interaction with
don't
Higgins,
ignore me.
I feel like her interaction with Higgins was a desperate attempt to get attention from him. Nothing ever actually happened between the two of them. Right. If she wanted something to happen between the two of them, it would have absolutely happened. I guarantee it would have.
Yeah, but he's not hot. Just for the record,
right there is the first. That's the first clue right there. Her saying you're hot. When her boyfriend is Officer John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe is a good-looking guy. He's a tall drink of water. You know what I mean? He's a nice guy. He smells of responsibility and commitment. Like he reeks of it. He's the complete and total package.
Look at you. He's like a complete and total package.
Yeah. And then you got a dude like Higgins who is just a cop. He's got no game at all whatsoever. There's nothing charming about him. There's nothing.
He's a simp. He's a simp. Like, where's our relationship going? What kind of future do we have? I want to make sure you're not playing me. I want to make sure you really are serious about it. I'm like, dude,
bro, that is this guy was nothing but red flags.
My commitment.
The
guy was like a parade.
Totally. I want to make sure that if I engage in this, you're not gonna all of a sudden change your mind on me. I want some sort of guarantee here that that's not how it works, dude. Have you ever spoken to a woman? Ever? I don't think
not really. He's not really an alpha male, I would say.
Not a ladies' man at all. No.
But he really, really wanted like a future with her after 16 days of rando messages. And here's also something very sus to me too. Because, he wanted something with her, right? And then that night they're at the waterfall and he's texting her, well, and she doesn't respond until the next day when she says, John's dead.
That came out before all the other text messages.
He never responded to her again. How come he didn't white knight her? How come he didn't run to the hospital to comfort her? How come he didn't, right? Like,
I
that
said
made
all
no
those
sense,
I said all those same things. It
right?
makes no sense that all of a sudden he ghosts her
Right.
when that happens. So you could tell that he's pissed off. I mean, and then there's the footage at the waterfall where he's obviously agitated and Brian Albert's holding him back.
The grab ass.
Right.
And then the
There- there's the grab ass that's taking place, but then something very serious is taking place
Mhm.
before everyone leaves.
right.
And then uh and then you have Brian Higgins, who after getting blown off by Karen Reed, she says John's dead. Him being a cop, why wouldn't he go, well, wait a second, what do you mean he's
Right.
dead? Text back, what do you mean he's dead? What
Mhm. Well,
but
because he already knew.
because he already knew.
He was at the friends and family meeting, right? At like 7:30 AM, and she didn't text him until after she got out of the hospital, maybe after she was discharged, so she's texting him around noon. He already knew. Why didn't he say, "Oh my god, I know. I'm so sorry. What can I do for you? How can I help you?"
And even if just to get her to admit something because he thought she was suspicious, if he thought that she could have possibly done something,
Mhm.
why wouldn't his instinct as an investigator kick in and start asking questions? Why wouldn't that happen?
He's one hell of an investigator, isn't he?
Oh,
ATF
clearly.
agent that he is. But why was he texting John then at like whatever time it was? You coming here? He
Right.
texted John that night, right? You coming here? Like he was waiting for him. Like he was waiting for him at 34.
Right. Everything points to Higgins having the motive. Everything does. The issue
I
is,
think we cracked the
again,
case.
well, we don't know what happened inside that house.
We have no idea. It could have happened in the garage. Maybe he never
Right.
did go in the house. Maybe he went in the garage. Maybe he went around the side to go in the backyard to take a leak. He slipped and fell on the pool patio and cracked his head open on the concrete. And then Chloe was out taking a leak, and then Chloe was like dragging him, trying to save him. No, we don't know. That I mean, that could happen. But listen, if you can think of any other way that this could have happened besides a car accident, that's reasonable doubt.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you must have quit.
Right. Period.
Mhm.
Full stop.
That's right. We should make t-shirts.
Yeah, it's insane.
Look at all the gifted memberships.
Yeah, man. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much.
We could
Yeah,
be like the
this-
new Howard Stern and Robin. I don't know. Sirius XM, are you listening?
well, yeah,
We
I
have
mean,
some good banter here.
we do. Yeah, this works. I hope we get to do this again. Most definitely.
No
And
no shortage of conversation here.
it doesn't feel like it's been 2.5 hours. We
I
could
know,
talk
right?
on and
Are,
on and
are
on.
people liking it? Because I haven't even been watching the chat really.
They seem to be, yeah. They seem to really enjoy the dynamic between us here. I always thought it would be pretty natural, you know. I always thought so.
What?
I always thought it would be pretty natural, you know, the way it is now. This is exactly how I pictured it. Exactly 100%.
Really? Oh, I thought you were afraid.
I
You're afraid.
I mean, no, like I mean, I it wasn't that. It was just I thought, you know, it's
There's a
not,
man passed out in the snow.
I always wait till the last minute to invite someone,
Oh.
you know, and
Yeah.
I figure you're really busy, and but I did
Friday
mention at
night.
one
What am I
point-
doing? I'm here with you.
It's Thursday night, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I just gained a day. It's only Thursday. Awesome.
But no, like, yeah, like I really am the most disorganized YouTuber on the planet, and so
It's where the
like
magic
like
happens.
like yesterday, at the last minute, I group messaged Mazza Media and Young Jerks and was like, "Hey, you guys want to join me in a live stream?" You know, and Maz was like, I could do it, you know, and then Young Jerks was like, yeah, I could do it, except I got this going, this going, this going, this going, this going. He's not available till like next week. And I was just like, you know what? It's cool. And so like
I'm very spontaneous.
We'll work it
that
out
way.
next. Yeah, we'll work it out next week, you know, when you are available. But
Spontaneous is better.
that's usually how I do it, is, you
Yeah.
know. That's how me and Turtle Boy have streamed together I don't even know how many times, but I'd say 99% of those times has been because like he would DM me or I would DM him and be like, "Hey, you want to jump on or can I jump on?" Or
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
just happens just like
It works
that
the best
and
that way. There's
totally does.
no reason to plan anything. Oh, somebody wants to know if we're going to Cancun together now. Norman Corey says, "Are you two going to Cancun together now?" No, you know
Well,
why? Because I saw a story today. Let me tell you a quick story that I read in
well,
the New York
even if
Post.
we don't, people will say that we did.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make T-shirts that say I went to Cancun with Melanie Little, and just because the towel, whose name I also don't mention on my channel, had the opportunity to question Alan Jackson, and that's what he asked him. Did you have fun with
Oh,
Melanie Little in Cancun?
I'm getting
Dude,
requests to take
really?
calls. The problem is I can't
Wow.
take calls the way that I have traditionally been doing so because if I do, it's a shared screen of Google Voice, so you won't be able to hear the caller. The
Oh,
caller will be able to hear me, I'll be able to hear the caller, but
but
you won't be able to hear the
I can hear it on my
caller.
phone, maybe.
You could, but it would be a delay, so it wouldn't really
Oh,
work.
I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
I thought about it beforehand, and it wouldn't work unless
I don't even
I
know how to take
did a
calls on my YouTube, so you're already a step ahead of me. But while you figure that out, in the New York Post today, which is where I get all my news, there were two women who went to Cancun and they had a sip of water and they both passed out on the bar. And one of them wound up being intubated in Mexico, and they wanted $10,000 to treat her. And there's a whole story about it in the Post today. So apparently, people should not go to Cancun anymore. So
oh my god.
kind of sucks I know how you hate Dave Matthews too, but he plays in Cancun as well. Dave Matthews and the Grateful Dead. But, we can go see
I liked.
Primus because I know the drummer.
Oh,
Well, he's
right
not the
on.
drummer anymore now because he's drumming for Dead and Company.
Well, a lot of times they will still be in multiple bands.
Yeah. Oh, Kate just read that article. That was crazy, right? It was
Um,
crazy. Yeah, they were drugged, something with the liquor, but they said they were just drinking water and they just took one sip of the water. Check it out. It's in the New York Post today. And then they tried to extort them at the hospital and charge them $10,000. And the girl is home now. She was with her boyfriend and she's learning how to walk again. Like whatever they gave her, whatever was in that drink was bad. And it was one of those all-inclusive resorts. They did not actually even name the resort as far as I could tell.
all right, so we're gonna do this in the old way that I used to do it. So people could call that number and you should be able to hear them.
Oh, all right.
I just have to
Do you
put
have a
my
burner
phone.
phone?
I do. Yeah. So I have to put it up to
Do you
the
have to go
mic.
add minutes to your burner phone? Like Rex Shearman, the Long Island serial killer? That's how he got
It's
caught.
just an app. So people could just call that and then yeah. So if you guys want, you can call that number right there.
Uh-oh. That could be dangerous. We should put it on a 10-second delay, just in case there's any craziness.
Now I mean I welcome that.
All right, let's talk about some of the super chats. Got to thank the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little Irish girl said, as long as Melanie isn't offended by your intro, Will, I love it. I think Will's hilarious. Will has kept me laughing through some very dark times. Some days where I wasn't, I was in a funk and I would just turn Will's show on. He would make me laugh all day long.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Makes me feel great knowing that. You're on. Who you speaking with?
Hi, this is Andrea.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, I love you both. So thank you for doing this today for us.
We love you too.
I had a question or reach out to Melanie. You talked about the popcorn murder in Westie Chapel, Florida.
Say that again?
You remember?
I don't know a lot about it, but I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, she dropped off.
Are you there?
She
We're
dropped
talking
off.
about the popcorn murder. Was a murder that happened in Florida, where the stand my ground law
Can you hear
was
me?
effective. I can hear you.
Oh no, she's gone. I'm waiting for another call. No. I think.
Elvis comeback special, 1968, says
Hello?
Kathy.
Oh wait, no, she's there. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the popcorn murder in the theater in West Bay Chapel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. So I actually worked with the daughter
Oh, wow.
of the shooter,
Mm-hmm.
the ex-retired cop.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually was working when everything was developing.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Are you still there? So you have some inside intel? That was one of the examples that I used as a case where when we were talking about the Ashley
So
Benefield verdict, that stand your ground
not
was
so much.
effective.
Yeah, not so much, but yes. But it's a small town. I mean, my husband was in a car accident, and the commercial driver basically pleaded guilty. But when we show up to court, they said the case was continued, which we never knew it was.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently we missed 2 other court cases, and so they threw the case out.
What kind of
And that's
case
the
you
same
talking about?
court
Is
that
it
was used
a car accident case you're
for
talking about, or a drunk driving
popcorn
case?
murder
I don't know. There's too much of a
trial.
delay, Andrea. It's hard to understand what you're saying.
Can you not hear her through the mic? Because I have her. Okay,
No, I mean I can hear her. There's just a delay, and I don't think it has to do with Karen Reed. So I'm not really sure what the question is.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Side of my ice cream. Is this Blair?
This is who?
Is this Glarer?
Blair?
Yeah, you're on with Melanie and Will.
Oh, hi, Melanie. Hi, Will. I just
Hi.
wanted to tell you something. I don't know if you know, but Matt McCabe and his brother have an extremely successful IT business. They were featured. I forget what show, but they're quite successful. So I don't know how Jen can clean up and represent them, but it's a multi-million-dollar company. And that's about it. And I think you guys are fabulous.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
I can't speak for Melanie, but I think you're fabulous.
You are totally fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Right
we knew
on.
he worked in IT. We just didn't know that he had a
You have good
multi-million-dollar company.
I had no idea.
Is this Melanie and Clara's show?
Yeah.
You're on the air.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I didn't think of? She can't hear you, Melanie.
Oh, really?
Through this manner. So this isn't going to work. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I called the number they put up.
Okay. Yeah. It's not your fault. There's just no way to actually do this, because the new way that I've adapted, well, it means that Melanie wouldn't be able to hear you. So this way you won't be able to hear Melanie. I didn't think of that. So
Maybe we got to call Matt McCabe. He could straighten it out.
Right.
Because it was like, they're like, what does he do? A shoe salesman or something silly, but he's really, really special. Not that I'm proud of him, but he just picked the wrong damn family.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling. All right. We're shutting down the phone thing.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Maybe, Matt, if you're watching, could you call in and help us figure this out?
No, I mean, there's
Wouldn't it be so funny if Matt called in?
It would be great. Let me keep the subscription there. Okay. Yeah, with a panelist on, there's just no way to successfully.
Yeah, it's okay. I can't really give legal advice anyway.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to do, and the only way to do it is to open the panel, and I'm not trying to get porn bombs, so
that'll happen. Exactly.
That'll absolutely happen at this point.
Somebody will moon you or us.
Oh God, worse, man. Like I saw it happen to another creator, and I was just like, oh wow.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I
we can't
mean,
have that.
really graphic. Yeah, people find things on the internet that I didn't even know existed.
Maybe
Um,
we could butt dial someone
exactly.
and then pick up the butt dial.
Um, I mean, maybe somebody has questions in the chat that they want to ask.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Somebody said they'd love to see the two of us back in Canton on the same day. We won't go to Canton, but maybe Dedham. How did you
Right.
fly or drive?
Yeah. Yeah, I flew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the full commitment.
Yeah, yeah. And I had to keep it like kind of secret. I mean, I wanted a
Oh, I did too.
surprise. Yeah, I wanted a surprise, but at the same time, like I have a past with JLR who had already shown up there and
Oh, that was a
acting
mess
fool.
that day. Yeah.
I had a past with Dolly Vision who, was going out there hoping to have some sort of and start trouble. So I didn't want to be the reason why people went out there to start trouble. I wanted my visit to be very pleasant for the people out there who are out there every day doing what they're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have felt horrible if I would have brought YouTube drama with me.
Oh, I did the same thing too. In fact, I set my stream for that morning. I had the stream set and I had my mods on it. Like, and then I said like a couple minutes before, and then we rerouted everybody to you that
Nice.
morning. And I was in
That's
court
right.
because
You
I did
did.
not want anybody to know that I was there because again,
I remember thinking like, why is everybody's like, hey, we're from Melanie's chat. We're from Melanie's chat. I was just like, what? She's not streaming it? I thought she was streaming it. Okay.
Yep, I was in court. I didn't want it either. And I thought like the supporters outside were so nice. So nice. I mean, people were giving me like once they knew I was there, they were running out and buying cards for me and like little gifts. And I have cupcake candles and like telling me their stories and crying and people wanting pictures. It was crazy. Like these people are amazing, so kind,
Yeah.
so nice. And really it was a very loving environment. Like unless you had been there, you wouldn't know. I don't think it's going to be
Right.
like that tomorrow necessarily. Because
I
of all the
had no
new
idea how to handle it. I was, because I went out there. What I originally planned on doing was going to the court, the trial hearing the one day, and then the next day just hanging out outside with everybody.
Mhm.
But so many people, like there were people on Karen's in Karen's camp that were like, can't believe that you can't be here for for Bukaki's cross, well, they
Yeah.
said Buchanan, but they were like,
I didn't even know that it was like a dirty word. Like I didn't even know. And like you were saying, and I'm like, so I
I
never
don't
said
think
it.
Julie Albert did either.
Don't Google it. If you don't,
I,
ladies, if you don't know what it is, don't Google it. You can't unsee it.
right. I don't think Julie Albert knew that either, which is just really funny. But it shows that she watches more YouTube than anything else.
Right.
And so like I was kind of just like, I know that they were, and that they were just like, yeah, it sucks that you're not going to be here for the cross, but if we can get you a seat, would you be able to do that? And then I was talking to some people outside, and a few people were like, dude, if you could be in there for that cross, man, like we want to hear what you have to say about it, blah, blah, blah. They made it seem like they would rather me be in there so that I could talk about it to the,
Right.
Later on, rather than hang out with them. So I was like, all right, well then, yeah, I'm going to do that. But I mean, the hospitality and the kindness
Mhm.
that, I mean, from the moment I showed up, everyone was just so nice. We went to the Waterfall Grill.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Did you
Tom and a couple other people like arranged something. Scott McGinnis as well. They were just like, okay, we're not going to have the whole world over there, so we're gonna, handpick a few people that's going to come join us. And Aiden came as well, and everyone just kept, can I take a picture with you? Can I take a picture with you? Can I take a picture with you? I had
at the waterfall
well,
or outside the
before that,
courthouse?
outside the courthouse, at the waterfall, people were asking me for autographs. We were signing, me and Turtle Boy were signing like
The sign. I signed the
well
sign too. The wood part.
but we were signing like coasters from the bar.
Oh wow.
That like they made me sit there and sign a stack of them, and I was like,
They're on
I
eBay
didn't
now.
even
For 100
I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I sign my channel name? I've never had anybody ask me for my fucking autograph. I was like, what do I do here?
That's crazy, right?
It was really so
I
I
was
was
like,
really
nobody ever wanted to take a picture with me, but sure, I'll take a picture. Or
right.
somebody's kid wanted a pic. Did you sit at a high top table at the waterfall? That's what I need to know.
I did.
You did a
Yeah.
high top. The high tops are good.
Well, yeah, me and Turtle Boy sat, you know, at a high top table, and it just made it easier because everyone was asking for pictures and autographs and stuff. So we just sat there together, you know, against the window, and people were, you know, and nobody was overwhelming. Nobody was. It was just nothing but pleasant the entire
Was there a
time.
band?
No. It was
Was there a band?
it was the middle of the afternoon. No,
Mhm.
it's not Nashville.
I know, but they had a
So
band the night in question. There was a band.
well,
Everybody talked about the band in the high tops.
that's the night, right?
Mhm.
But you know,
Well, this was
was the
daytime.
after.
Oh,
Yeah,
was it
this is the
lunch?
after.
It wasn't happy
Uh,
hour.
it was after there was a half day that day, I think,
Oh.
because it was the second day
Mhm.
that I was there for that. I think when we went, and then we
Summer
went and
Fridays or something. That was the
right,
weirdest ass court schedule ever.
and me and Tom and Scott snuck away to go check out 34 Fairview because we were right there. And then we came right back, and then hung out a little bit longer, and yeah, it was just really nice. And I made sure to stay sober the whole time because I was just like,
Right. Now everybody's
you know,
watching you. Now you're a celebrity. Everybody's watching you all the time.
if
So
I
you can't go out for milk with, without putting makeup on. It's like a thing. No, just
if
not
it would
around
have
here
been a
anymore.
year prior to that, I would have been like trying to start drinking games and been like, hey, who's partying? You know what I mean? But I
Right.
was so I haven't been drinking almost at all. And I'm just like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I want, I didn't know how to handle it. I
Yeah.
honestly didn't. I was super timid. I was not the person that I am on these live streams. So outgoing and extroverted. I
Yeah,
was not that
gregarious. You're
guy.
like the life of the party when you're on TV.
It was wild. Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with that.
Thanks, Sharon.
And because it was. I mean, I like I said, you're playing in bands and stuff like that. You kind of like almost fantasize about stuff like that, happening.
People want your autograph and fans
Right.
and yeah.
And then, here I am in this position where that's not what I'm doing this for. And then, you go to this this one geographical location where there's this concentrated fan base for you that you never intended to happen.
Where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, nice little
Like
awesome
Cheers.
little reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still didn't tell us what kind of music you played in your band. Or what bands you
Oh,
played. Who did you cover?
we didn't have any cover songs.
Oh, so you wrote your own music.
It was way easier to do that than get four of
Really?
us drunken cokeheads to fucking
To
learn
play
songs.
Led Zeppelin? I mean,
Yeah. Like we would every time we attempted to learn a song, we would always reach a point to where we would get stuck, and I'd be like, well, why don't we tune to this? And somebody made it more, it was usually me who made it more complicated than it needed to be. And it was just like, let's just make up this song.
so you were a jam band, but not really
No.
a jam band because not jam band style, but you just made it up as you went along.
Oh no, we just
or
couldn't
French
read. We couldn't read or write music. We were just the process was, okay, I have this riff, learn the riff. Okay. And now now that we have that riff down, like what if this guy stops and then, okay, just drums on this one part for 2 counts, blah, blah, blah. And you had to do that over and over again until you got it right. But it was just, it was the most disorganized thing in the world, which most rock bands work that way too. Most rock musicians can't read music. So nobody was writing the notes like Mozart would and be like, and you could read it and go, oh my God, the movement. You couldn't do that.
Right.
We were like, ooh, man, that's heavy. Can you learn that real quick? Okay. That's how we did everything. Really disorganized.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
But
What
no,
else do
not
we got?
banters. We didn't like improvise, in the middle of
Okay,
anything.
somebody says here, I think these two don't care about the live viewers. They care about donations. I see lots of great questions go unanswered. Shaking my head. Hey, Eric, I haven't seen you ask a good question, but if you want to ask another good question, you can just put it in the chat.
Well, we just get to talking and then I don't see the chat, but
I know, but like, why do people have to be rude? Just like, okay, Eric, we'll wait for you to ask a question now. If you have a question, when I look over here, I don't have the authority to even highlight them. So when I see something, I do just answer them.
yeah.
Again,
And then
it's just
there's
a lot of people
also
chatting with each other in the chat.
right. And then
We
Eric,
chat
there's
with each
also
other.
you
We're hanging out.
also always have the option of fucking off. You could do that.
I mean, it's your show.
Nobody's holding you here.
Right.
That's
what I was saying. Like, you could change the channel. It's
Sure.
free. YouTube is free. So, there's that. We have a Rage Crochet Club. Yes, we have a Rage Crochet. We do. Look at Eileen Taylor. She's in there. She's like, Rage Crochet Club is so amazing. And I don't even know how to crochet. We have one of those. We're waiting for you, Eric. Everybody's waiting for Eric.
I'm waiting for a question because now Eric's got me self-conscious. They're making me feel some type of
No,
way,
it's
I don't care about my viewers or something.
Yeah, we're waiting. Hurt people hurt people. I was watching do you know who Bethany Frankel is? This was really interesting because Bethany Frankel was like, she was like one of the Real Housewives or whatever. And she was also like on The Apprentice when Trump did The Apprentice. And she's like a self-made, like she made like this skinny girl margarita company. She made like billions of dollars, but like people hate her. And she did an interview the other day with Ryan Serhant, who's this guy who sells real estate on $1 Million Listing, who I've been watching for years because I love those dopey real estate shows where they try and, sell fancy places in New York City. And they were talking about like reality TV. And he was saying that when they first started that show, it was like Bravo wanted him to sell and win. And people love to watch winners. And now people want to watch other people lose because hate sells.
Right.
That's the dynamic now. It's weird. People don't want to watch happy stuff. If the news is happy, they're not going to turn it on. They want hate.
Right.
Eric says, if you donate, you get your questions answered. You get a thank you. If you don't donate, your great questions get ignored by these two. Again, you put the same comment in there again. But again, Eric, you didn't put a question in there.
Well,
you knew I was waiting for it.
The
you don't
donations,
have to donate.
The donations highlight, dude. Like you could spot them. They stick out in the chat.
I'm giving him an opportunity. All he wants to do is leave the same rude comment again.
Now here's
like,
a
you know
question.
what I say? This is what Scott does on my channel. He's like, okay, I'm giving you your boarding pass. You're out of here. See ya.
Right. Now, Paula says, question, is Auntie Bev in with the feds or just a bad actor or just bias? What's your opinion on that, Melanie?
I don't think that she is in with anybody. I just think that, as she likes to say, she's got the authority to do this, that, and the other thing, and everything's within her discretion. And that's what I think. I don't think that she's in with anybody.
I agree with you. I don't think so either.
Judges have immunity, so she can't be sued for her opinions. She can be appealed. That's the remedy for that. But I don't think that there's any corruption there or anything. I've seen far, far worse judges, but I don't know. I just think she had the opportunity to get away from this case a couple of times, and she chose not to. And so she wants to keep it for whatever reason, even though she's in civil court. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel the same way. She's just doing what she does.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's she's part of the same fucked up system, but I don't think she's in cahoots with anybody.
No, I don't think so.
But there's definitely, I still entertain the possibility of it though, because there's just stuff that she does that I'm just like, I can't think of any logical reason other than something dirty as to why she would make that decision. But but that's just again, I have no proof of it, so I just kind of hint around to it and ask the
Mhm.
question out loud, but I don't go, oh, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll be back together again, I'm sure, for another hearing. And tomorrow there's well, not another hearing, but I mean for another live stream. But
Mhm.
tomorrow we're both going to be streaming that, and it's not a competition. Like, please go over to Melanie Little's
Yeah, everybody
and
watches who it doesn't matter.
yeah, like they watch me
Not
for
a
different reasons.
competition, you know?
Right.
People
You
think it's
watch.
like a competition. Like people who watch my show will watch your show later, and people who watch your show may watch my show later. So
That's
it's
why the
like
replays are there. Right.
people
That's
can't
like
get enough Karen Reed, so they go watch it everywhere. They want to hear everyone's opinion, and everyone's got a different opinion, and there's room for everybody.
right. You sometimes you want to hear me be, sarcastic, snarky dickhead, and other times you want to hear the a lawyer's insight. I mean, um, and I will always direct people to other channels where they're going to get certain types of information.
Mhm.
Like I will always be like, well, I don't know. You might want to go over to Melanie Little's for this type of information. This is just my guess, but if you want that type of insight, you might want to check out Melanie Little or check out Sean McDonough because he's a former DEA agent, or certain questions that I know that I couldn't answer with professional insight because of experience. I could
Mhm.
just speculate, and that's the best you're going to get from me. All I can do here is entertain you. That's all I can offer you is entertainment and insight from someone who feels as strongly about this as you do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, look, a highlighted question. Is it possible defense lawyers will talk to more jurors by tomorrow afternoon? I would imagine they already did. Melanie, what do you think?
Oh, that they've already spoken to more jurors? That more have come forward? It's possible.
Right.
It's weird because on the court website, all of a sudden the filings aren't showing up anymore. So I don't know why that is. If anybody can tell me why that is, it's like the last filing is something filed during the trial. None of the post-trial stuff is coming up on the masscourts.org, and I don't know why. Um, Anything is possible, but as of right now, we only know about, I think, 4 or 5 that have come forward, and we don't even know if Juror Doe is one of the others that has already come forward. So anything's possible, and they could certainly file more papers in the morning. But I would think that if they did reach out, they'd want to get it on paper instead of just bringing it up in the courtroom. I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let me check the back chat here for like any highlighted questions because there were a lot. You guys were very, very generous tonight, and we were talking, and I wasn't able to highlight them all.
Mhm.
So let me see. Let's just go over them one by one real quick.
Somebody says Bev is not on the docket for tomorrow. I'm gonna look it up real quick while you're looking for those things.
Good point. That's a great idea. This is YouTube awesomeness right here. Thank you. I'm just
Mhm.
growing the world. Alternate corner Dylan wanted us to say hey Will and Melanie from him. Right on, Dumpster Juice. Big shout out to alternate corner. I love Dylan.
Mhm.
And Valerie Michelle, proud roughneck, became a member for 1 month. 2 of my favorite people live tonight. Free Karen Reed. Awesome. Thank
Woo-woo.
you so much for that. Melly, here for the one and
Love
only Melanie
Melly.
Little.
Love Melly. I
Right
love
on.
Melly. Melly's a mod for Vinnie Politan, and I'm in an unofficial competition to beat him in subscriber numbers. So if you guys would just subscribe to my channel, it
Yeah.
would really help me. I'm about 5,000 behind Vinny. He doesn't know anything about it. But I really would like to, for my own personal satisfaction, have more YouTube subscribers than Vinnie Politan.
I'd
Just,
love
just
that
for
too,
fun.
but
It's like it's like a personal goal, a
sure.
personal best.
Sure. And you're gonna get more factual information out of your channel anyway. So
Oh, Vinny. Poor
it was
Vinny.
still I want to like Vinny, and he just consistently disappoints. He just does with me personally.
I
I'm not gonna
mean,
position to
why? Why is he doing that?
no.
I thought I had him turned around on Karen Reed too, and then he kind of
Every time I think that he's finally, and then he like he'll pull some shit, and I'll be like, Vinny, fuck, dude.
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but it's definitely on tomorrow. Dedham's second floor, courtroom 20, non-evidentiary hearing to dismiss with Judge Beverly Canoni. So she is still on the case for tomorrow. So I don't know where the person saw that.
And Fantastic.
Hello, True Crime Kangaroo. Down under.
Yeah.
It's like
Uh,
late there.
yeah.
It's like tomorrow there.
Right. It's like 9 a.m.
It's like 2 days
there.
from now already.
Right. Lady of
What's happening
Boston's
in
in
the
your
future, True
number.
Crime Kangaroo? What's happening in the future?
Now, Paul Cristoforo, he helps. He's instrumental. In fact, he's vital in organizing these standouts and protests and support systems and support gatherings for Karen Reed. And he says, "Hi, Will and Melanie. Public service announcement tomorrow. We will be in Dedham at 11 a.m. Let's keep it classy. Ignore the noise from across the stairs. We share our message and not react to their message. Karen Reed is factually innocent." Agreed. And again, I strongly, this is just my take it or leave it. But my suggestion is when those blue shirts start chanting "Justice for JJ, justice for John O'Keefe," join along.
Right.
We all want
100%.
justice for him. We all want justice for him too. So just join along. So when they try to be combative with you, remind them that we're all there for the same reasons. You know,
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah. So, and I get the feeling that they're not going to know how to deal with that. Like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be, yeah. These people want justice for John O'Keefe.
That's right. And isn't justice for John O'Keefe
all do.
finding out what really happened to John O'Keefe?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't that what justice is?
And ADHD downers typically invigorating for us, and uppers calm us down, hence Adderall.
Exactly.
Yes, that's actually very true. Yes, that's why I don't mess with medications, because I won't be this chipper and animated person that you see before you today. I'll be this boring dude who's
bang, 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 bang. Somebody said, didn't you say 5 minutes? Myers is like, didn't you say 5 minutes ago it's not a competition? It's not a competition between me and Will. It is a competition between me and Vinny Politan, but he doesn't know anything about it. That's why it's like funny.
It's healthy
a joke.
competition. Calm down. Seriously,
It's
relax.
a joke.
Stop trying to pick everything apart.
No, I think Myers just was joking because Myers comes on my channel and it was just a joke. But it's not a competition with me and Will. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Eric or Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pucifer, MJK's third band, acquired taste, but amazing. I know Pucifer. And Diane G, recording music from the radio, and the DJ talks too long over the beginning of Candy Rain. And then make a list of bevisms so long, challenge you. Oh man,
I'll allow it.
Right.
I'll allow it. I'll let him have it. Mr. Lally, would you like to object?
Miss Reed, is there something funny, Miss Reed?
We stand in Massachusetts, Ms. Little.
Phoebe Bird said, since it costs a lot to win and even more to lose, you and me bound to spend some time wondering what to choose. The Fanning thing is nuts. Yeah,
that's the Grateful Dead song.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's right. And then there's the memberships. Gerda K gifted.
You're gonna have to speak up, or we're gonna turn off the air conditioning.
Mr. Lally, sit down. And then there's these people who gifted memberships, man. You guys are amazing. Congrats to all you guys who got memberships too. And David Reese, thank you. That's how it's done in Massachusetts, Mr. Jackson. There's a bevism right there. Right there.
It's a privilege to be admitted to practice law in Massachusetts, Mr. Jackson. It's a privilege, not a right.
And he says, useless fact, 3 presidents were born in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. I believe that. There's so much history there. And I don't think that that's a useless fact, because I find it really, what I always come back to is, what would our forefathers law was practically birthed. Our whole basis of how laws are created started in Boston for the most part, with John Adams doing what he did, man. Like, he was passionate about the law and the scales of justice, and you know, he must be rolling over in his grave watching this happening in his very town.
I bet he's one of the 3, because everybody quotes John Adams in this trial. The judges
Yeah.
quoted John Adams. Lally's quoted John Adams. Yannetti, everyone's quoting, and John Quincy Adams. He was probably born in Quincy, and that's why they named him Quincy.
Made me so mad when Lally quoted John Adams in his closing arguments.
Hmm.
I was like, oh god, man, I don't want to hear that from you, dude.
Yeah. Can you answer that? That's another one, right? Can you answer that?
Can you answer that,
Can you
Mr.
answer that?
Lally? You mean Mrs. Venture's book now says you mean stating he is a dirty lying liar who lies isn't actual evidence of someone's wrongdoing? And then Scott McGinnis, love seeing Melanie here. Love your channel too. Love you, Scott McGinnis. He's always out there. Always.
I signed his
Sarah,
sign. He had a sign, and I said, give me a Sharpie. I want to sign the wood part of the sign."
Sarah
He's
is
going to auction it
shopping
off. You should
on
auction that off for defense costs. Is this funny, Ms. Reed? Is this funny, Ms. Reed?
And Plevin wanted to make sure that two of his favorite grifters got some of his ice cream.
Oh, yeah, let's grift the grift.
Oh yeah, this must be driving those people nuts.
That's another T-shirt you can make, like "Come grift with me." I mean, because now it's kind of funny because Betterow is like all over it because they're calling him a grifter. So now he's just playing into it. He's like, if anybody wants to see me grift tomorrow, here's where I'm going to be, and it's great. First of all, you should look up the definition of the word grift before you call someone a grifter. But hey,
it's just stupid. Like I
Come
mean,
grift with me. There's a song in there somewhere.
You're getting everything that I offer here, man. You know,
That's it.
like
Come grift with me.
the option to donate to Karen Reed's Defense Fund is in the description at any time. I don't claim that any of this money goes to Karen Reed's defense or Turtle Boy's defense. You can do that independently. And you have the option to support the channel if you want to. And if you would prefer to, I actually encourage people to support Karen Reed and to support Turtle Boy. But some people would like to show support for the channel, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you guys for that.
The fans are awesome. The viewers are J1 Justice. Can't wait to see that fan tomorrow. I can't wait to see that fan. I miss the fan. I miss the fan. Only fans all the time. I miss the fan.
The last hearing was in a different room and the fan wasn't there.
I know, it was a weird room too, right? It was like a very small, and there was like one. It was disconcerting a little bit. It was a little disconcerting to be in a different room because it wasn't the first room. That was the really old, really lovely courtroom, the big one, and it wasn't the second room where the trial was. It was a whole new different room.
Yeah,
I was a little
room. There was a room that they made us wait in
off
before. Like
there
was another courtroom that we waited in
on the first floor,
right, and where pictures were taken and stuff like that.
But I don't think that one. I don't think it was that room either. It was really weird.
And yeah, I'm a paid operative by George Soros, according to that.
I'm still waiting for Soros to send me my check.
Yeah,
by the way. He's a little short on the payment.
Really love seeing Melanie there having such a great. Yeah, you guys are fantastic, man. You brought some amazing people over. I'm so grateful to you for that.
They are so nice. We try and keep it kind. We don't like the mean people can go somewhere else.
Well, that's what's
funny.
There's
plenty of channels for them. Like if they want to go be mean and talk about how much we suck, then they can go do that somewhere else. They don't have to do it here where we are. Like, okay, just hit the like button on your way out. Thanks. Like,
like I can be abrasive, but I don't think that I'm actually mean. Like I still
funny.
I still, man, I got hope for Plevin. I got hope for him. I feel like Plevin's gonna flip at some point.
Didn't he used to be on the right side, and then he went over to the dark side? And like, I don't know what's going on with that guy. I don't watch any of those people, so I don't know.
Yeah. And Uncle Fredo, thank you both for everything. Well, how those nasty ass feet. Are my feet nasty? Was that
did you ever show your feet? Don't ever show your feet on TV.
I don't think I ever
Nobody
did.
needs to see that. You can't unsee that. I'm just not a foot person. I don't think anybody should wear men might not want to wear flip flops. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't find
tank tops.
I don't wear slides or anything like that. I
Birkenstocks.
Yeah. In 10 days being told it snowed and the roads were slippery. Who, if anyone, shoveled the apron, and who, if anyone, drove the ambulance? And Brian Jr. gets donuts for his birthday.
Little
Good point.
Bry. Little Bry.
Great
And then she was going to
question.
leave the coffee in the car too. Does anybody buy that? Because she didn't
Right.
just bring donuts, she brought coffee, and she said she was going to leave it in the car. We didn't even get into that.
No, oh my God. We would have to do so many live streams to get into everything. All we did was have the first time a conversation between the two of us going, what about this? What about this? Oh my God. That's what two people who have been
Really?
talking
Get to
about
the
this
point,
case
get to the
never
point.
spoken to each other are going
Right.
to do. And we spent 3 hours doing it and barely scratching the surface. So
That's right.
yeah.
It was fantastic. Did you guys enjoy it as much as we did? Or were we just talking amongst ourselves the whole time and nobody liked it? Isn't little Brian the quiet type? Maybe. Little Bry.
And then rack a frack. Imagine it was found out that the jury found her guilty on counts 1 and 3 and not guilty. Imagine what the prosecution would be saying right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll give you $50 if you stop smoking. I don't need a lot more than that. And then the read back FUBAR happened in
Yep.
the Benefield trial.
That's right, David, because they
I
didn't say
wish
the
I could
magic
contribute to
words.
that.
They didn't say the magic words. We want to read back. It was not good.
How about the MSP charity event that doesn't list as a charity? Okay.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't
Are they
either.
trying to raise money for something?
There was
MSP?
there was a fundraiser supposedly taking place that there was a standout for, I think, or there's one coming up. I can't remember. There's a lot. These supporters are busy people, man. They're on top
Well,
of
the
everything.
Massachusetts State Police charity event, I mean, they need to raise money for like proper training is what they need. They need like a CSI person to come in and tell them that, maybe solo cups is not a great, well, that was Canton PD, sorry.
That was Canton. What I
Yeah.
think they need is they need to strengthen their internal affairs division. It sounds like they're
I don't know. I'm
sounds like
just
they're a
saying.
little overwhelmed.
I mean, it's a good thing neither one of us live in Massachusetts and we don't have to worry about them pulling us over on 95 or anything,
Right.
495 or wherever they patrol. I didn't want to even drive my own car there. Yes,
the shirt is from the 68 comeback special, one of my favorite performances. That's why I got it. Yeah. And okay, I'm just going to say it. You guys look great together. Right on. Thanks.
Woo, I wore black for the occasion too. I figured then we color coordinate because you always wore black. So it was a good, it was a good choice.
Come on, Ryan. Will Ryan Upchurch isn't real. That's Little Irish Girl is aware of the history. He said at one point that Kylie Rodney was not a real person. That it was all a big conspiracy. That's why when you were like, is he credible? Is he?
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
And what sucks is like, it's funny because there's a lot of stuff that he talks about just like on his channel on his own about the state of the country. And there's certain things that I agree with, certain things that I don't, but he makes a lot of sense in a lot of other things. And I encourage, and I actually encourage listening to him here and there. Just, don't look at him like he's the end all be all of information, just
is he a singer?
Yeah, he's actually very talented. He's like a country singer / rapper. He has and he's totally self-made. He's totally independent. Like he doesn't belong to a record label, and he has over 3 million followers on YouTube. And
that's respectable numbers.
Very loyal. Yeah, he's a very loyal fan base. Who I pissed off.
That
was fun.
So
and then a great collab, man. You guys are just great, man. Thank you guys. And if I'm just breezing through these, it's just because I'm just trying to get through them. So many of them.
Iceman says he got 3.25 million subs. Wow, goals.
Yeah, no, and I respect as a failed musician. I absolutely respect the hell out of him for doing it that way and not having to answer to anybody. And that's what makes it so frustrating, because it's like, man, I want to talk to this guy and have real conversations with him, because I know there's a lot about him that I do respect, but he just went off the rails with the Kylie Rodney thing, and he stands by it. And I'm just like, fuck. So I mean, I don't really know how I feel about him getting involved in this, but
Mm.
because I mean, there's some people who are really, really passionate about this. A lot of people, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, this is great. Somebody said this, which I think is a great comment. It says, "Why isn't juror number 3 talking to you guys or Aiden or the media?" And I say, yes, juror number 3, if you would like to talk to me, I would love to talk to you.
Right. I mean,
I would love to,
I,
because you're
I
allowed to talk now. You didn't deliberate. You were kicked off. You're allowed to
right,
talk.
and I
I'll keep you anonymous.
Yeah, totally. I would absolutely keep juror 3 anonymous. I think they should absolutely talk to Aiden. I think they should absolutely talk to you, and I would love to speak to them. And I have no interest
Yeah.
in sharing any personal information. I just, because I feel like I feel like I could say the same thing for you. I feel like I've built enough credibility to where if I say, "Hey, I verified this," people are going to believe me because
Right.
I don't. I only deal with facts. I don't deal with rumor. And I feel
Try and
very
keep the
strongly about
drama
it.
out of it
Right. Um,
if
and
we
yeah,
can.
Susan Constantine was very offended by me,
Who
Melanie.
I don't know who that is.
She's a body language expert,
Oh,
and I did Nick Rocco coordinated a fundraiser stream for me to host with her, but she didn't do any vetting with me. Like,
oh,
Nick Rocco put it together, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then when she rewatched it, she saw like my intro, which yeah, I get it, but I feel like she should have done that before she agreed to go on my channel with me.
oh yeah,
You
you gotta do
know,
your homework. You gotta do your due diligence.
Right. And then she messaged Nick saying that it's not, collaborating with somebody who's capable of the kind of raunchy humor that I have is not indicative with her brand and blah blah blah. Her husband is appalled and this and that. And I was just like, well, too fucking bad.
Like,
You
maybe you
know?
should have, maybe you should have done a little due diligence before I never accept an invitation before without doing my due diligence. Like, I get random invitations all the time, and I'll look at and I'll say, yeah, that's just not for me, or the person's not based in fact. It's a lot of like just drama, just like trash talking people. I'm like, I'm not into that.
I mean, right. I mean, like I do some trash talking, but the majority of what I try to stay focused on is just the this case and how it's insanely crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, at the risk of sounding redundant, but um, yeah. So sure, like I'll point out some stuff that people who don't make any sense are pointing out, and just to show an example of people just not using their brains and not using their eyes. So yeah, but as far as when it came to her, it was just like, I mean, I made it a point. I did a stream where I was just like, you know what, Susan Constantine, I just want to make it
Mhm.
very, very clear to everyone watching that Susan Constantine, her brand has nothing to do with how I run my channel. So, know, just know that yes, Susan Constantine does not approve of the way that I run my channel, and she does not want to be affiliated with it in any way. So I want to make sure everyone knows that. And that's fine. She's perfectly within her rights to feel that way, but it's her bad for not doing her homework before coming up on here before. So, and great chemistry here over 2.5 hours. Did not change the channel.
Oh,
Thanks
wow,
very
look at
much.
we can hold attention for 3 hours and
Look at that.
18 minutes. Oh, yeah,
Can
we
you?
did that one before.
We did that
Rob
one.
says, "Melanie, wasn't she the one in the Ashley Benfield case, the husband's lawyer?" No, that was Stephanie Murphy, not
Okay.
Susan Constantine.
Discovered Melanie's channel randomly. I'm so happy I did.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
and then
thanks. I don't know which trial you're talking about, but
just sub to Melanie. Fuck Vinny. Love the show, aka Date Night Yellow, and I right on. David Reese again. Adams and
Oh, two Adams. Adams and his son, the two
Oh.
presidents. So John Adams, John Quincy Adams,
Oh,
and George H.W. Bush was the third, all born in Norfolk County. Look at us learning something tonight.
I love it. Thank you,
Put that on the
David.
trivia. Put that on the trivia game.
Right on. Melissa says, love you too. Believe the Nike shoe had to be replaced because of blood. Also, remember blood and vomit on clothes due to gravity. He had to be upright. Oh man, that's a whole other conversation right there
Yeah.
too, man. Jesus, I could talk on and on about that. And then Kat Randall, love this host. Host off. Thanks again. Right on. We are the third wheel on your first. Oh, stop it. And Kat Randall gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much. You're my 1 and 2 on my subscription list on YouTube. Laura, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Laura.
And then Judy with the super sticker. Thank you so much, Judy.
Oh, Rob says, now I know what he's saying. That Susan Constantine was the one with the crazy lawyer. She was on, I think, she was on Court TV or something talking about it. Is that what you're saying? I have to look up her picture. I think Rob. Yeah, I think
that's
she may have been like, is she a talking head on like Court TV and stuff like that sometimes?
I found it fascinating what she was saying, but if I gotta be completely honest, I think the whole so-called science of body language study is utter bullshit. I think it's about as fucking as credible as phrenology. Reading
What
the
about
bump
tarot
stuff.
card readers?
Same thing to me. I mean, you could sit here and I could look at somebody and think that they're lying, but I don't think that there's a definitive movement that someone makes that says that person's lying. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own body language and their own way that they react to things. And to definitively say that someone is lying because they blinked their eyes or because they moved their hand. Now I understand this crossing your arms like this shows being defensive. There's a basic things that you could look at that look like tells, sure,
right?
But to sit here and say that you can definitively say someone is a liar because of certain things that they do with their hands, I call bullshit on that.
That's who she is.
Yeah. She was fun to
For
talk
those of
to.
you who don't know.
It was a fun live.
She's on like Court TV all the time.
Right. And I'm grateful to Nick for setting it up because I found the conversation very interesting. But at the end of the day,
she's a jury consultant. Actually, that's what she calls herself. So I don't know if she also does body language too.
Yeah, I call the body.
I don't know.
I call bullshit on the body language. I do. Sorry.
There's a guy who's really cool. He doesn't just analyze body language though. He analyzes like the language. Have you watched his videos on Brian Higgins? His channel is Truth Revealed. His name's Sergio Denaro, and he was
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he's like got some real like credentials. Like I don't know if it was like FBI or CIA. Like he was an interrogator for like terrorists and stuff, or something kind of like that. And he did a couple of videos on Brian Higgins, and just based on the language that it's the choice of words, right? It's the words that he chooses. You can tell by certain words that he chooses to say whether or not he's being truthful. It's very interesting. I don't know, CIA maybe he worked for CIA.
I went over some of his one of his videos a little bit, and I was impressed. But again, that's a little different than someone who just makes appearances on fucking Dr. Phil and shit like that, saying, "Oh well, I'm a body language expert and I know everything. I can tell someone's lying based on, how they move their hands and blah." I just no.
That guy definitely cheated on his wife.
That stuff's not
Maury Povich.
How many trials have you watched where you see a body language expert sit up on the stand and go, "Yes, I'm a body language expert, and I believe the defendant is absolutely a liar based on the science that I have spent my life." No, it's not a real science. Stop it.
Oh, Chrissy, it's Truth Revealed is the name of his channel. He also did a 3-part on Ashley Benefield. That was pretty amazing too. I did watch that. That's really good. Janine Driver. Yeah, Janine Driver is good. There's a lot. There's a lot of them.
It's fun, man. Like, I've got a friend that, I make very few friends here on this platform, but there's one guy who he goes by the name Mexi. He's a friend of mine, and he does like the paranormal stuff, and he,
That's
you
cool.
know, does paranormal investigations and
That's really
things
cool.
like that. Yeah,
I'm a
and
believer.
it's interesting. And I've done streams with him where I could tell you certain things are like pretty eerie, and I'm just like, wow, that was weird. Okay, but I'm still a skeptic. I'm not going to sit here and go, whoa, dude. Like, and he knows that. You know what I mean?
Blair Witch
But I could
Project.
tell you, but he's not a grifter in the sense like he genuinely believes it. Like I talked to the guy behind the scenes, he genuinely believes it, and I'm the guy that goes, I don't know, man. And I'm still down to do like an actual like investigation with him in person. We just
That's
have
cool.
never planned on it officially, but I'm still down to do that at some point because he's a good guy and he believes in what he's doing, and I'm willing to subject myself
Hear it.
to right.
All right, I got to go drive the mommy Uber, so I got to jump. I'm gonna wrap. Now you
No,
can
right
talk for
on.
6 hours, so you can keep on keeping on.
Oh, I like to wrap these things up after about 3 hours, and we're 3.5 hours. So I'm really glad that you're wanting to jump off. I'm ready to
I
call it
gotta go.
myself. Right on.
I'm late.
Melanie, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I won't keep you any longer.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I really hope that we get to do this again.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. I think people liked it. It's good for a late night special. It's like being on Howard Stern, like I said. So thanks for
Right
the
on.
invite.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome here.
Good night,
right.
everyone. We'll see you tomorrow for Karen Reed.
Good night, Melanie.
Let's hope
Thank you so
justice
much.
comes soon. All right. Take care.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining, man. You guys are absolutely fantastic. I am blown away by how great you guys were. And your generosity is overwhelming. Seriously. And if you guys are not subscribed to Attorney Melanie Little, please make sure to subscribe to Attorney Melanie Little because she is incredibly insightful, as you could tell already. And she is an attorney, or as she likes to put it, a recovering attorney. So, but she is extremely insightful. She knows what she's talking about. And she's extremely passionate about getting justice for Officer John O'Keefe, and she is passionate about the fact that Karen Reed is factually innocent of this crime. So make sure to subscribe to her for great insight. And I think she's going to be covering the I'll be live. I hate to send people somewhere else, but please, at least hang out here a little bit and give me a like if you can while I'm streaming the hearing tomorrow. But she will be streaming the live or the hearing tomorrow, and I believe with Mark Betterow as well. So at the very least, please mosey on over there and check it out or catch the replay. But whatever you do, make sure to subscribe to her and give her a like. That would be fantastic. And that would mean the world to me. So guys, you guys are absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you for hitting the like. Please make sure to hit the like on the way out. It is free. And please make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And thank you to all of you new subscribers. You guys are amazing. Guys, that's it for me. You guys are fantastic. I love you guys very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.